Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody, from all the world, hello and welcome to another episode of The Watchable with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch. Let's make some noise. Everybody, clap it up, get excited wherever you are. We're here, we're back, we're live, and we're excited to meet you on this Thursday afternoon talking about the boxing world and beyond, as we debate, conversate, and outright have a great time entertaining the masses all across the globe with our fun and excitement right here in our discussion. We got a lot to talk about on today, primarily a lot of new developments in the world of Errol Spence Jr., with him revealing a tell-all interview with the likes of Andre Ward, talking about the aftermath of what's happened over the last 3 years since he's been out the ring leading up to this fight with Tim Tszyu in his return, talking about the Terrence Crawford fight and everything built up into that affair. Derrick James as a trainer, did he fail him? And it's looking like yes he did. The internal struggles and turmoil that caused Errol Spence to go down a road that he now sees he could have been better with, all of that equating to a real kind of an era of silence to some degree up until this past couple days. And now all of this begs the question, in the future, now with Spence, knowing what we know now, what's to come of the big fish? And is he going to stay in this pond of boxing for a long time, potentially? Or is this going to be a one and done type situation? All of that's going to be talked about on this show, as well as with more stuff with Jerron Bruce Ennis and Xander Zayas, as we're getting ready for that fight on June 27th. We are all excited to see that fight go down in less than 2 weeks for the Unified Championship of the world. And there's a whole bunch of I'm not going to say convoluted, but there's a whole lot of build up into this fight now, because the rumor mill of where he's going to be ranked after this fight and what everybody's saying Boots should be if he wins, we got to adjust that straight up, because we didn't get to discuss it yesterday or Tuesday afternoon, because we had a whole bunch of stuff with Bam. But now we're going to put our foot down. Should Boots be top 10 pound for pound after this? We've touched on it, we've talked about it, I give you my opinions, but I'm going to give you my definitive answer as to what it's going to take, absolutely, for Boots to get to that position if he does not deserve to be there after Zayas. All of that and so much more we're going to discuss right here on this show. We appreciate you tuning in. We're so happy that you're here with us on today. Hopefully you're leaving a like on the stream already. If you're here, one like makes a world of difference. And also be sure to subscribe to the channel. Come on, be a part of the hottest show in all of the globe right here on YouTube and on every podcasting platform imaginable. Rate us 5 stars on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen, we are there. And please be sure to hit the notification bell on this channel so you know whenever we post right here on YouTube, and you're never out the loop of what we got going on in every facet of the makings of this show. So you can always be informed, always be on time with what we got going on our live streams. And please be sure, if you can't support the channel, we got Cash App, PayPal, links down below in the description. Super chat, super gift, gifts, stickers, and the like. All for you to be able to give and support our show if you can. Helps us to pay the bills and helps us to edify this show. We invest into this conglomerate of a community to help us make it bigger, better, and stronger. All for your viewing and listening pleasure, and helps me to pay the bills on the side, as well as the most important thing that you can do on this show is to share the show with everybody that you know, so we can keep on building up this empire together. All with you and your support, we can turn this thing into a hot commodity and live up to the moniker of being the hottest show in all of the globe. But without further ado, we got a lot of boxing to cover. We got sports to delve into. We have a lot of debates and conversations that we need to talk about. And now that we know now that we know what's on the deck to set the table, it's time for us to have a great show, and it's time to step into the ring. Yes, sir. Ring the bell. Let's get it started. Round one of this show going underway on our dossier of content. The first thing we have to discuss is the drama, or rather is the new developments in the world of Errol Spence, and a question that we've been asking for over 3 years. What happened between Spence and Terrence Crawford? How in the world did the big fish that was seen as a top 5 pound-for-pound fighter in the globe, the best welterweight at that point in time in a bunch of people's eyes, most of the globe's eyes, lose in such a dramatic fashion against the likes of Terrence Crawford? Everybody's been swirling rumors. It couldn't have just been that Crawford was just that good. It couldn't have been that this brother was just that great, even though Terrence Crawford is just that good and just that great. Everybody speculated there was more to the story than we realized in terms of Boots Ennis and Terrence Crawford, not Boots Ennis, in terms of Bud Crawford in terms of Bud Crawford and Errol Spence, excuse me, lost my train of thought, going into the fray of this almost collapse. What in the world made this happen? And why has Spence been out the ring for oh so long? Well, we finally got our answers. We got Errol Spence Jr. on the interview with Andre Ward, finally essentially divulging all the stuff that happened behind the scenes in the world of his boxing career during that point in time. And it is an eye-opening experience that, hey, some of y'all have been saying stuff about what was going on in that fight, and I can now definitively say, those of you who had some speculations, y'all were right. Y'all were right. I can't lie. Y'all were right. Y'all, in a melodic capacity, you all were right. There was an abundance of things that were going wrong in lieu of that fight with Terrence Crawford that ultimately caused Errol Spence to stay out the ring for over the course of 3 years. The biggest of which, as there is a bunch of things to talk about with that interview, but the biggest of which, when it comes to Crawford and Spence, was the preparation. It was the movement of Spence and his trainer, Derrick James, at the point in time, in their behind-the-scenes training, working to get ready for Crawford. Let's be perfectly honest. After what you about to hear as we get ready to transition over into picture-in-picture, what their preparation was in fact nothing at all, which I can't believe I'm saying, but it's the truth. It was almost no preparation. And if you don't believe me, I'll let Errol Spence tell you for himself, as he was in this interview with Andre. Hold on. Wait a minute. There we go. As he was in doing this interview with Andre Ward. There we go. Here we go. Now it's all up and running. We're ready to go. We're ready to listen, because this is incredibly telling as to how in the world Errol Spence got dominated, and what played a part in it. A lack of preparation by the likes of Derrick James. And here is his side of the story.
Yeah, like 6-7 weeks. Like, I didn't no sparring. Like, it was just a lot of stuff that went wrong in that camp.
Going into that camp, you and Derrick have any conversation? Like, look, this is how we got to get down for this fight?
Nope.
Come on, EJ.
Nope.
Biggest fight of both of y'all's career.
Man, that camp was booked.
The whole camp?
Yeah, bro, like, I didn't no sparring. Like, the guys didn't fit. I ain't had no southpaws in there to spar, none of that. Like, it was just all It was all out of whack. I was basically living wrong, bro. Even out of camp, you gotta live right. So once you get in camp, you know, everything be cool. Just like now, like I'm cool now because, you know what I'm saying, I've been living right. Like I ain't been drinking none of that. Like still been working out. So once I get in camp, you know, I'm free flowing. I'm free flowing in that camp, bro. Everything was just out of whack. But for me, I knew that this maximum payout, you know, is gonna take care of my family, even if I'm not here, you know. And I didn't know if I was gonna box again.
Yes, and you felt like that before the fight.
Yeah, I felt like that before the fight. I'm still gonna fight, you know. It is what it is. Like, and I'm not gonna make no excuses about it. I'm just gonna do what I do, and then whatever criticism come with it, bro. But at the end of the day, I'm doing it for a bigger picture. Like, you know, I was hard-headed to do stuff my way, so hey, I gotta be hard-headed too in this sense to, you know, put myself on the altar, man, sacrifice myself.
I feel that, but what I don't feel is going into that camp. Whose job is it to pick the sparring partners and to have that stuff on point?
Derek, he the teacher, right?
So when you're not sparring, what are you saying to him?
I mean, we just work in the midst. You would think he would put on some gloves and have me like blocking shots and but it was none of that.
I'm getting whooped right now. Nah, man, that's crazy.
Just feeling weak, depleted. Like even if I worked out, like I felt like I wasn't getting stronger. I don't know, bro. The whole camp, it was just a whole messed up situation.
I mean, my goodness, this is a legitimate bombshell. This explains a whole host of questions that we had as to why the world Errol Spence looked the way that he did in what we saw with Andre Ward, the biggest fight in his career at that point in time, that you almost were assured he would not mess up. And if anything, this is a twofold situation. And before we even start, let's address it right away. Actually, before I even continue, we got people in the chat, like with legendary Super Saiyan Jackson. How you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on the live stream. Salute to you, and we enjoy you and everybody else who's on the stream today. Also, if you would, please keep on liking the stream, keep on sharing the show, keep on subscribing if you haven't already, and keep on telling people that we are at the hottest show in all the globe. We want to hear your thoughts and opinions. Put your stuff in the chat. Have your opinions and debates on what you're hearing, what we talk about, and anything of discussion or input. We want to hear from you because you all make this show as much as I make this show. Absolutely. We appreciate you all being on the live stream. And let me see. I wholeheartedly believe Spence could have trained with Weiss on Beerus' planet. Crawford still would have whooped him. And see, and this is what I was getting ready to address. You beat me to it. I still believe Crawford would have beaten Spence if Spence was on the up and up. That, for me, is not changing. However, that does not mean that the stuff that people were saying about Spence going into this fight, something seemed almost awry. This was in terms of, even with this type of domination, even if I thought this was something that was to be expected, it was almost otherworldly that we saw it capping in that vein. Now, was Crawford that good? Yes, he is, no question. But on the questions of Spence, it was warranted to ask something, or at least have an innuendo of something had to have gone wrong. And at least from Spence's own mouth, we now hear something in the prep did go wrong that didn't allow him to even have a chance to even affect what the outcome was, because it was a twofold street. Now, before I even get into all the ins and outs, let's make a disclaimer right now. These are not excuses that Errol Spence is making. Let's be honest, let's be completely clear. I've made sure, and you've heard me say about this on this show, that this fight, I didn't want to hear anything about the car crash. I didn't want to hear anything about this brother was lax and out of whack. I've said from the jump, Crawford won and Crawford should have won, and Crawford was going to win, and he did win. I'm not making it, but what Spence is saying now, these are not excuses. This is a revelation. There's a difference, because if these were excuses, this would have been something that would have, right after the fight, oh, this is what happened, that's what happened, da 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 da. But you saw, even in this interview, he said, I lost. That's what happened. He gets the glory. He gets the shine. I do what I do, and we're all good. I can't fight that. And he didn't try to make excuses for that. He just went and did his thing and rocked. And because of that, this isn't him trying to make up reasons as to why he lost. This is now the other side of the coin. There is a difference. And it's an important difference. Now we can know who to place the blame on. Number one, in Spence's own words, it's himself. It's himself. He can place the blame on himself. We can place the blame on himself because he wasn't living right. Drinking, alcohol had been taking over his livelihood. There was another part in the interview that he discussed where he was saying that drinking is what allowed him to be social, what allowed him to be able to be out and about amongst the people and amongst whether it's interviews, whether it's going through and it's dealing with talking with fans. He needed that because he's a very introverted person, and it helped him to go and loosen up a little bit. But it turned into a problem. It turned into a consuming habit that caused him to start the spiral. Coupled with the working out and all that stuff, he went through and just wasn't keeping himself like he needed to be outside of the ring. Like we said all the time, boxing is a sport of discipline. You got to commit fully or else this sport will eat you up and spit you out. This is a perfect example from the standpoint of introspective looking at what you did wrong or right. And on that front, Errol Spence even admitted he was in the wrong. He self-sabotaged himself. But on the other end of the spectrum, he's not the only one that's at fault for what we saw on that night. It's Derrick James. And this shook me up, but it also revealed a world of sense. Because now we can understand that this is why Derrick James has been falling off a cliff ever since leaving Errol Spence Jr. If we're going to be completely honest, if this is the preparation he did for the whole of his fight, good gosh, Derrick James, maybe he was just never that great of a coach. It was just Spence by himself was just good enough, even with all the problems, that he was able to go and overcome. He was just that good of a fighter. Because we've seen since Derrick James has left, lost. With other prominent names and figures, he's lost. He's been on the hotbed for about a couple years, using and training other people, and it's been faltered miss after faltered miss. Ryan Garcia, the most notable name since Errol Spence, he trained with him, got beat by Rolly Romero. Yes, he was injured, but as you can see, the preparation of what to do with his left hand, or with his jab, or anything else after the best weapon wasn't working, just completely fell apart. And all of a sudden, Ryan Garcia, even healthy, looks completely different again with a new training regime and personnel. Derrick James completely folded. No southpaws, no preparation. It was bad. It was bad. And from that front. And it's I really can't believe it. I'm shocked. I'm appalled. I'm being completely honest. That kind of explains what we've been seeing from Derrick James of recent, with him losing a ton, with the most of his trainers looking like, and I've said this publicly, this brother has not been able to bring out the best in his fighters on multiple occasions. Now, maybe it's because the way this brother preps just ain't like that at all. And coupled with the fact that even before that, on the night of the fight, Errol Spence was coming in because of that lack of preparation. He was like, and if I can, I should be able to find that clip, but if I can't, mentally he was feeling like, yeah, I'm ready, I'm prepared, and I'm good to go. But there was something in the back of his mind that was telling him, you know what, this could go left. This could go left really quickly if I'm not careful. Where is the word? Is it? It should be here somewhere. Hold on. If I can find it, I will bring it up. I'll look for the clip while I'm talking. But regardless of which, the biggest thing is, there was a multifaceted layer of failed checks and balances that helped to perpetuate what we saw with Errol Spence Jr. And the life outside of boxing also made it so that Errol Spence was more key on, I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing this for my people. I'm doing this for providing. Because I am not ready at all. And in part, that might have been why. Or in part, I think that's also what he said in the interview as to why he just stepped away. Because mentally and physically, I wasn't in it anymore. I wasn't. And I think that is kind of bled into what I was discussing over the course of the last 3 years. I really don't know if he was coming back, because what he said in this interview about what his mind frame has been or was going into that fight and what it stayed with after that fight kind of boded true. Wasn't fully into the sport from that point on. And it was like, dang, even at that fight, he felt it was going to be his last one. At that point in time, going in the interview, he said publicly, he said to Andre Ward, I didn't think, I thought that fight was going to be my last one. I thought that was going to be it. And so 1 foot already out the door. So this it's just insane that we got this much level of, after so much speculation, now we're getting some answers from the man himself that is so, like, it's crazy to think about now. But again, this is what's going on. Let me see. Nobody was saying that after Spence made Ugas look like he was a Formula One crash. At least these excuses are legitimate boxing excuses, though, and not the wilder one. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like when I say this, when I say these aren't excuses, this is not him trying to turn the table and saying, "Oh, this would have been different if X, Y, Z would have happened." He manned up and said, "No, I wasn't prepped. I wasn't ready. My coach did this bum stuff where he didn't even bring in people that were fighting like true southpaws to prepare me for what Crawford could do. And we weren't sparring at all. We were just doing mitt work. Didn't even get any in-ring run. It was just straight up mitts and pads and going through the motions. To sum it up. And Spence, he's not using that as an excuse to say this would have gone differently. He's saying this whole situation, regardless of the result, getting ready for this, it was a whole mess of a sham. And Derrick James, as much as himself, is responsible for this pain that was inflicted. Not because, it would have gone different, but because to get me ready for what I could witness, you, as my coach, didn't make a game plan, didn't make any sort of adjustments, didn't even get me in the ring to get a body in front of me to do stuff with, wasn't even making me block stuff to get ready. This man was completely out of left field. As well as myself doing myself in by not taking care of myself in the ring. Or outside the ring. Like I'm supposed to. It's fault points on all sides. It's just interesting to see this is what transpired. Let me see. Basically, this is how Errol Spence has always been. That's what I'm saying. This is a, in fact, let me make sure I got my words right. This is a very public example of what we talk about all the time when we say don't cheat the game. This is a very public example of why you don't cheat the game of boxing. Every single time out, we can always say and see somebody is just raw talented, somebody is just great, but also somebody doesn't take care of themselves. And at some point in time, that talent is going to fail you if your preparation is not key. Hard work beats talent. That's the phrase. Well, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. That's the phrase. And it bodes true. Because we were seeing Errol Spence. This was his lifestyle the entire time. The whole time. This was Spence. This was also Derrick James, but this was Spence. And he went and continually, knowingly, shot himself in the foot, admitting it with Andre Ward. he set himself up that him physically, at least within his own position, he was not fine-tuning his machine while it was outside of the shop for the standpoint of everybody. He was not going through and letting himself commit the car crash. He also talked about it in the interview. Part of the reason why that car crash happened. He was saying, but I could have lost everything. I could have lost the future of my kids. I could have lost the ability to provide for my kids. I could have lost all these new memories that I'm having right now with my family and children. I could have lost it all because of one mistake that I had perpetuated because of a habit that was robbing me of everything. It's a blessing that it didn't end right there, because it could have. And some people might think it should have with how horrible that crash was. I'm glad he's alive. We all are. But he recognizes this was a consistent problem that almost took me out and inevitably led to me losing this fight. At least within my own preparation of personal sustainability. When you don't give yourself the discipline necessary, no matter how good you are, no matter where you are in life, no matter how much you can push yourself to be, there is always going to be a fault point because of that lack of discipline, because of that lack of security in investing in yourself, living right, like Errol Spence says. And again, the Pied Piper always comes for his. The taxes get due at some point. There's very few people that can just get away with it, no matter how great they are. And Spence is a prime example of somebody that was at the heights of his ability, but because, again, within his own internal struggles that he admits, it's not placing the blame solely on him, but he places the blame as I was at fault. His words. So we take that accordingly. He went through and cost himself the best position. More so, he cost himself the opportunity to have 3 years of still providing. Yeah, he recovered. He took his time. He got better. He talks about it. He talks about that in the interview as well. He got better. He got himself right. He picked himself up, and he recentered who he is and what he needs to be, which we all applaud. Be clear, we're all happy for that. But at the same time, because of that lack of personal discipline, he gave up 3 years of his prime. He gave up the opportunity to be able to get the comeback fight at 154. He gave up all of that. And a lot of this could have been alleviated. And we're happy that he's back now. It's just a shame, man. It's just a shame. Because hindsight is always 2020. Completely understandable. Everybody goes through. If I could go back and done something different, I would have. Absolutely. But you also, it's a double-edged sword, because once you see hindsight is 2020, now you know this is a decision I can never get back from or get back to redo. I can recover, but I can alleviate myself from going down this path in the first place. It's a frustrating sentiment. And for fans, this it's relieving because we have an answer, but it's also frustrating because now you see we have the reasons for who moved wrong and why things went wrong. And if we knew, we could have been potentially been vocal and say, hey, stop this or whatever. It's just it hurts. But it's a necessary truth that we need to hear. Also, let me see, we got more people in the chat. Let me see if I can read everybody that we can. Yeah, you also can't ignore not bringing in good sparring partners. Yep, exactly, for your fighters. Leading into camp, the biggest fight ever. I'm interested to see what James has to say with the new info. Let me tell you something right now. Derek James probably won't address this. Or if he does, he'll probably be defensive, knowing him. He'll probably be defensive. He'll probably, there was even an interview we had played on this show about, I believe it was on this show, about the sparring with Errol Spence Jr. and the fact that with Shakur on whatever podcast it was, somebody that was in the camp of Spence was saying they brought in no southpaws. There was nobody that was an actual southpaw to get me ready or to get Spence ready for that fight. And they were alluding to that the sparring or all this stuff was just very much out of whack and strange and for all the wrong reasons. So there were signs. This is just confirmation. But it's just the same. Let me say, definitely wishing Bo the best of health moving forward. Oh, no question. Be clear. Now that he's back here, we're so excited. Understand. We just wanted an answer for why we haven't seen him and why it seemed like this man was so outclassed beyond just Crawford was just that good. Now that we have the answer, we've always been wanting him to come back and be great. Come back and dominate. Come back to 154 and show us you still got it. Come back out of the division that you say you need to go to and be great. Be able to conquer the world yet again. People have been waiting for years to see what the world Spence can do still. He ain't lost fans in the sense of, oh my gosh, we turned our back. Everybody still wants to see him. It's just a matter of now that we're here, it's relieving. But it's also like, dang, I wish we didn't have to wait this long. And I wish now that we know the reasons, these weren't the reasons why the layoff was what it was. But absolutely, we're waiting to see how we're hoping and praying that everything is going to be just great for him going forward. Even more than that, we're gonna answer some questions about what he's gonna do next with his career after this. Absolutely. But let me see. Shovel, how you doing, Bring the Shovel? Good to see you. Salute to you, and we appreciate you joining in on the show. Listening to the interview, did you think Spence was making excuses for Bud loss, or is he being genuine and the Bud loss is overrated due to Spence's health? So neither. Because, or rather, let me rephrase that. Errol Spence, like I said at the start of the show, he's not making excuses for this fight. He's not. At the same breath, this win for Crawford is not an overrated win. Don't forget, everybody was picking Errol Spence to win, or most people were picking Errol Spence to win at that point in time. There was a lot of people. This is not making that win less impressive. Because mind you, Errol Spence was saying this is what was going on for a long time. This was going back to Ugas and all that other stuff from the standpoint of personal preparation with his body. Living right, not doing the right stuff, all of that outside the ring, Errol Spence admits he was at fault, but he was still beating up on people. So we can't say that this win now gets undervalued, because that's just not true. At the same breath, Errol Spence is not making excuses. This is genuine. This is what happened. I lost. I deserved to lose. I felt that going into the locker room, this could be bad. I'm serious. In fact, here, like this is. I think this is the clip. If not, I do apologize. But he was saying that this could have been bad. This could get really bad, really quick. When it came to Errol Spence getting ready for this fight, because he felt in his own personal feelings. And this is in that interview. Yeah, I'm doing all this stuff. Yeah, I know I can make this something out to be great. But he even said there was something in the back of my mind that was like sitting in the locker room before we went out to the ring, as we were gloving up and getting ready for all the activities of that momentous night. He was like, this could get ugly. With everything going on, I know this can get ugly. But again, I'm doing it for my family. So this ain't excuses. Tyson Fury made excuses. Deontay Wilder made excuses. They used what was going on or in their case, some of the lies of what they were saying was going on. They used that as means to go and change the narrative of not just why I lost, but this stuff was a robbery. This was unfair. This ain't like that. They didn't take away what happened from the opponent. They're just telling you he won outright. I had this stuff going on, but that doesn't change. I lost, and I manned up and lost. So I don't think we can. This is genuine. This is absolutely genuine. And at least to me. At least to me. Let me see. The Bud win is the first thing for overrated. Yep, I do believe that as well. Coming off a 3-year inactivity, moving up to 154, and first fight taking on Tim Tszyu in his own backyard is a tall task. Well, it's a lower task than what could have happened. Like Fundora. It's a better task than Fundora, which was the initial fight that he wanted to have. Thank God she's not fighting him first. I'd rather fight a Tim Tszyu that's had some struggles up and down his career going out the back end. This is actually the fight that we all wanted to see a couple of months ago. We were discussing Spence may come back. Who would he want to go against? Keith Thurman, who's old. We would love to see that. Him versus Tszyu, who's old and lost and got knocked out a couple times. We would love to see that. Him versus even a Charlo, who has been on the back burner, 3 years inactivity of his own right. We would love to see that as well. This is the type of level of competition he should be in the ring with. It is still a dangerous task, but it is indeed one that is doable. And in fact, I'm about to play a clip of him talking about what he can do with his trainer. Also, let me see. D. Calico, how you doing? Good to see you. Salute to you, and we appreciate you on the live stream. Mr. Miyagi, also, we thank you for so much tuning in. We're happy that you're here. We're discussing everything when it comes to Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, what he's talked about with the interviews, as well as the future of Errol Spence Jr., which, as we know right now, he's going to be fighting against Tim Tszyu in his next bout, which we're actually going to switch gears right now and actually discuss it. Hold on a minute. Let me get my sound right. We about to go into what's next for Errol Spence Jr. Now, in lieu of this Tim Tszyu affair, but let me keep on reading your chats as we are going through this show. The Spence before the car crash, accidents, and eye injury, who fought Sean Porter, I can't see beating Bud. That said, just in my opinion, I do think Spence was diminished some as a fighter when he did fight, but which again is no issue. Is no issue. With what we know now, this is the what. Put it this way: when Roberto Duran fought against Sugar Ray Leonard the second time, Roberto Duran had a no mas fight. Context added with why he said no mas. The brother was spinning all the time, cutting 190, going all the way down to 147 or whatever the weight was. And he didn't even get to train for the fight. He was just training to make the fight. And his body just gave out. He was like, I can't do this no more. And that's why he said, no mas. I quit. It does not take away that Sugar Ray Leonard dominated and beat Roberto Duran. It does not take that away at all. It just provides context as to, oh, okay, that's why we saw the fight go the way that it went. Because there was a lack of preparation on the side of Roberto Duran, caused by Sugar Ray Leonard going out of his way to force that fight to happen with Roberto Duran finding out late during his whole celebration of the first fight. So this is, again, this is why I say I don't think it's an excuse. I think it's a real thing. Let me see, Ryan 26. How you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on our live stream today. Thank you for showing up and showing out. Salute to you and everybody else in the chat. But now, but I'm gonna read these last couple chats. Then I'm gonna get into the future of Errol Spence. Spence was making Derrick James out to be a terrible trainer. Well, look, here's the thing. It kind of solidified it. Cause remember, like I said earlier, Derrick James, when he kept on training other star people, they kept losing. The most notable being Ryan Garcia. And after one training camp, he left his butt. Never came back. We're not, excuse me. My apologies. Let me get something to drink. Hold on a minute. Let me get something to drink. But it's not this isn't blame from the standpoint of you're the guy at fault. Well, excuse me, it is. But it's more so than just, oh, this isn't like Deontay Wilder throwing Mark Breland under the bus. This is genuine. That, yeah, Derrick James, we've had questions about him as a trainer of recent years. And this fight kind of showed, okay, this problem ain't been just as a trainer, ain't just been a one-track situation. It's been, I'm nervous. For anybody that gets under him now, if this is how he treated the biggest fight of his career, that's problematic. I'll say that for any trainer, Derrick James otherwise, because that's inexcusable. That is inexcusable on a coaching perspective. That is inexcusable. Mid work, no southpaws at all, barely any sparring at all, in a game plan of simply, based on how Terrence Crawford talked about it, going through the motions. That on his end, that's inexcusable. That is indefensible. I can say that definitively. Let me see. It's crazy. A few years ago, Derrick James was the hottest trainer in the sport, and now he's near forgotten. Yeah, because people that are going with him, they just leave right after. Because his buddy's not helping. He's not helping people out. He ain't. Spence letting Porter get through is one of the main reasons why I thought he had no chance versus Terrence Crawford. And that's now granted. Sean Porter is a phenomenal fighter because Sean Porter is a dog. He gave Terrence Crawford 7 rounds of good winning work before he ultimately got knocked out. But he can fight. So it was a potential sign that Crawford could definitely get through. But that wasn't a sign that we were saying that, oh my gosh, he showed Errol Spence has no shot. Because Sean Porter, he gave both of them some really hard times in that fight. I can't lie, I still want to see Spence versus Thurman. Welch Derrick got ahead of himself when he trained Spence, Jermell, AJ, Ryan, and Frank Martin. No way he was going, no. See, that's the thing. He did. And even still, notice all of them, AJ, after Derrick James was better or looked more fluent. Ryan Garcia after Derrick James was better. Frank Martin, granted, he at one point did level up initially and then level back down, but the majority of the people, it just ain't been working out. It just has not been working out, and for good reason. But either way, before we even continue, let's be sure to answer the question at hand, which is Spence and his future in boxing. Because now with the talk of him training with Ronnie Shields, he seems like he's in a better mood than he's ever been. And now he's in a position that, yeah, he's going to be able to thrive like we know he can in the world of boxing. And I'll let him tell it for you himself as we transition back over into picture-in-picture. And this is Errol Spence Jr. talking about his... hold on. Hold on, Spence. This is Errol Spence talking about his future success that he sees when it comes to training with his new coach in Ronnie Shields, getting ready for his fight with Tim Tszyu. And this could indeed be a match made in heaven. And I will let him tell you for himself. Come on now. Come on now. We ain't trying to play. We ain't trying to play no 4K because I ain't trying to get no buffering on this thing. Here we go. Let's make it smooth. Let's make it work. Here's Errol Spence on Ronnie Shields and his new training partner. Doggone it. Come on now. Please. Don't do this to me.
How you feeling in camp, man? And how's everything going so far?
The world.
I'm feeling good, man. Good.
Come on now.
How you feeling in camp, man? How's everything going so far?
I'm feeling good, man. Good thing I started camp early.
Hold on one second. Hold on. We got some technical difficulties. Give me 1 second. Something is holding up this ability to play like it's supposed to, smoothly and without a hitch. Give me 1 second to make sure we give this thing as clear of a way to play. Let's try this now. We should be better off. I'm sorry. Let's try this one more time. Errol Spence on Ronnie Shields should play cleanly now. Let's see what he has to say.
How you feeling in camp, man? How's everything going so far?
I'm feeling good, man. Good thing I started camp early, cause I mean, stuff started. You feel stuff like aches and things that I don't know if I felt them 3 years ago, but they feel like new. Like I was like, man, this ain't never hurt before. Like
Yeah.
it just start aching. Like you feel, I don't know, you just feel different, but you still gotta wait. You gotta work, and now you gotta take some time off. Like I days off for Friday and Sundays. Like back before, it was like I was grinding like 6, 7 days a week, like just grinding, like grinding myself down, really. Not really working. Now I'm working a lot smarter than I'm working hard. Like I'm still working hard, but I'm taking the time to listen to my body. Like, nah, we gonna chill today, or nah, we not gonna go hard every day. You can't go hard every day, especially when you like older fighters used to tell me this, but now I know once you get a little older, your body will tell you like, nah, like chill today. I already gave you 3 hard days. Like we gonna take it light today.
Yeah.
So it's been a huge adjustment that I had to do, a real shift in like how I train and how I go about things.
How you feeling?
So this again, I do apologize for some of the technical difficulties, but we are okay now. But as you can hear, this. See, some of y'all anyway. Hey now. Okay, look, let me see. Shovel, like, look, thank you for the $1 super, thank you for the $1.99 super chat. Hey man, look, we be having normally we strong and we ain't okay. The first clip we played was flawless. Don't be calling my Wi-Fi McDonald's Wi-Fi. It was just that one clip that was messing up. Y'all are hilarious. But hey, look, I'll pocket it. I'll pocket the money. I'll get some better Wi-Fi. Wink, wink. I'm gonna go to McDonald's. I'm gonna use that Wi-Fi while I'm eating a good old-fashioned fried apple pie. That's what I'm gonna do. but look, we thank you for. We thank you for the $1.99 super chat. Nonetheless, but in all seriousness, back to Spence and his future. Now with Ronnie Shields, you see he is going through the Navarrete effect. If we remember, Emmanuel Navarrete, I think nearly undefeated champion, currently 1 in 10 big fights in the world. He had been fighting his whole career out of shape, out of, for the standpoint of not taking care of himself, doing whatever he wanted to do. And then all of a sudden he got a nutritionist, he got a better regimen, and every fight since that point on, he's looked substantially sharper, better in shape, and outright a better fighter. Now with Errol Spence, I'm young. Now I'm old, and I'm wiser now than I've ever been before. And I, with Ronnie Shields, are taking my preparation a lot more seriously. Don't forget, people were saying, why in the world was Terrence Crawford fighting only once or twice a year? And people were saying, you're only fighting once a year against Canelo. How in the world is that going to even work? And why are you taking such a long layoff? And he was saying some of the same stuff. Hey, man, I know my body, and I know how long it takes me to get fully prepared. If we're going to do this right. And now Spence is thinking in that same line. This is a great way to elongate his career and make himself be the best fighter that he can be. And with Ronnie Shields, that looks to be not just a better game playing trainer, not just a better motivator, but a better outright an organizer of what to and what not to do. Shields been around this game for a minute. This brother knows exactly what it's going to take for Spence, not just to be fit, but also to accentuate his game. This could potentially be the best situation to have Spence be a callback to the old Spence that we know. This is great. This could be great. This could be good. This could be phenomenal. This could be spectacular. If this pairing works out like it's looking like it's going to work out, because we're seeing Spence smile. We rarely see that brother smile. All of a sudden, we're seeing him actually, this is good. I feel good. Yeah, I'm hurting in places I ain't hurt before. Yeah, I'm older now, but in terms of getting ready for a fight, I feel like myself. Like I'm supposed to feel. This is, if it works, because we don't know. If it does work, it could be spectacular. Oh, it could be incredible. And that's why I'm so excited for this fight to transpire. But let me keep on reading. We got more super chats. Like with Matt Borgerson. How are you doing? Good to see you. And we thank you for the $2 super chat on the day. Errol Spence is coping. He won't best Sue. And I again, because we don't know what he's going to look like, the concerns of whether or not he can beat Sue, that definitely is warranted. I think now there's a spark in his eye that we hadn't seen before, as well as there is a better energy from the standpoint of internal feeling and not just confidence, but preparedness that we're seeing from Errol Spence now, not just with the genuine honesty that what seems to be coming across the screen, what he's saying, but also with the enthusiasm of what he's talking about, working with a new personnel and trainer. This could be a very good thing. And if you still think he might not be able to beat Sue, who's been active at minimum way more than Errol Spence, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. But there's at least some confidence that I didn't have in Errol Spence that now I can start to buy into, at least on some level, that I was not able to do it all. I'm still very skeptical. That hasn't changed. But there's at least there's something there that wasn't there before, to quote Beauty and the Beast. But let me see. Another $2 super chat from Matt Borgerson. We thank you so much for the donations and the alms to the Empire. Shields is getting paid. He isn't going to say no. I mean, of course not. He's not going to say no. But again, this could be the start of a major run of, okay, Ronnie Shields is really able to work some real, fine-tuned touch on these multiple fighters. Because he's working with Brian Norman Jr., he's working with Errol Spence Jr. All of a sudden, if we see these two people pan out, yeah, he's going to get paid. And of course, sure, he wouldn't say no. But also, this could be, yeah, I'm the best fit for you to be what you need to be. I doubt anybody would say no to train Errol Spence Jr. Because it's always going to be a big payday. It's always going to be a lot of money. It's always going to be something that is worthwhile. At the same breath, Ronnie Shields is a person who, it's not guaranteed, but most likely what he touches, if you're a fighter that gels well, it's going to most likely come out decently good in gold. Decently good. Let me see. Mark Quavers, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning into the show. We're so happy that you're here joining with us. I think this is his last fight. Regardless, hold on now. Wait a minute. Save that chat. Matt Borgerson with another $2 super chat. And I'm going to go on to say another one outright after that as well. We thank you for giving alms to the Empire. 3 years out and you expect a virtuoso. Come on. No, hold on. You're mixing up my words. I never said I expect this man to be perfect. I never said I expected this man to come out guns blazing and look like the Spence of old. I said there is hope. There's a difference and a guarantee he's going to be better than he's been before. And the hope that we're going to get something closer to the Errol Spence that we knew. There was no hope in that up until after this interview, up until the understanding of what he was feeling and what happened post Spence or post or pre Terrence Crawford. With all this information now, and again, what he is saying about himself, there is a level of hope that I and many other people didn't have before, that he would be able to win, or that it would be a competitive fight, that if it would be a shock. There was no hope that he would even be good from the standpoint of a contending status of fighting Fundora. but at least he can put on something respectable. We may be able to see something better than just a respectable performance. The start of potentially being able to be something better. It's not going to be, but I'm not expecting a virtuoso. This man fights like he did against Ugas, but even better without getting hit, and knocks out Tim Tszyu in destructive fashion. And all of a sudden, it's a viral thing that goes across the globe. I'm not expecting that. I'm not. But I am hopeful in a way that I was never before in this fight, which says a lot. Let me see. We are hoping to see Magic. Hope does nothing. Hope gives you a belief to stand on. Hope is the fire that can push people to reach a goal that seems unattainable. Hope is one of the most powerful things that we have. Hope is incredible. Hope is the difference between despair and success. Because hope gives you that bridge to say, I think I can cross this gap of whatever task, challenge, or issue, because there is a foundational belief. I know something can happen. That's why hope is so much of a fixture of the human spirit, of just the people as a whole. Without hope, everything would just fall into disarray, because there would be no out of a different opportunity. There would be no change in a narrative that anybody would see that's possible. There would be no way to escape the inevitable, because there is no hope that anything can happen. And if Errol and us seeing this, sure, us as fans may not be able to directly affect the outcome outside of saying, oh, wow, yeah, we think you can win. But in terms of the atmosphere that it creates, it breeds a sense of possibility. And without that, good gosh, there's nothing that can happen. You need it. And so for Errol Spence, hope to be able to come back and win is the biggest thing that's caused people, that can cause him, and it has caused others to reach the mountaintop yet again. Hope is what made George Foreman become the oldest champion in boxing history at that point in time after 15 years of a layoff. And he needed to do it because he just needed money, because his friend stole money from him. So yeah, I hope it's a powerful thing, and it can supercharge the work ethic and the dedication to make a dream possible. Because now you believe, and doggone it, there's a lot of people after this, they think that something else can happen. But I do want to make sure I play this clip, and also we watch on. No, yeah, let me play this clip real quick of Errol Spence, and then we can talk about the rest of the card of what's going on, because there is a whole card with the likes of Errol Spence and Tim Tszyu that now got fully announced with where is it at? Right here. A whole cacophony of fights that's getting ready to take place on this night, which completely shocked my mind of the viability of real depth in work. Because now you got Errol Spence and Tim Tszyu, Jamal Charlo versus I think it's Mazarder as the co-main. It is Stephen Fulton versus Liam Wilson. If you don't remember, Liam Wilson was the brother that almost knocked out Emmanuel Navarrete in his move up to, I believe, 120. Move up to 130, I believe, or 126. One of those two. Whenever Emmanuel first moved up to the weight class, Liam Wilson was the one that almost put him out in 4 rounds. Almost knocked him out. And so Liam Wilson against Stephen Fulton, surprisingly, is a pretty good fight to have. So on the whole, it's not bad at all. Got a lot of returns. You got Stephen Fulton trying to shut up the noise of what happened the last time when he fought against O'Shaquie Foster and completely got destroyed by one of the better outboxers and jabs in the game. And you got Jamal Charlo coming back and looking to continue his success of being able to be a dominant champion again, going in, and he should be able to beat Mazarder, but how is he going to look in this win, if he does win, it's going to be very telling to see the competitiveness against the rest of the division going forward if he still wants to jump into the deep end to try to get a shot at these belts. That's a whole other situation. But the card itself does look pretty decent, and not decent, it actually does look pretty good. But for Errol Spence specifically, what I wanted to talk about is his potential of how long he's going to be fighting, because we're still on how long Spence is going to be fighting in the ring. But the question is now, well, will it be that he might only be in one fight and then done? And if you don't believe me, I will let Errol Spence tell you himself in his own words about him saying this may be his last fight outright against Tim Tszyu.
I might be done after this. I just want to sit and embrace the moment, bro, because I know this is over one day.
What's the mission now at 36 years old? What's the mission? Why are you still fighting?
Because I feel like I still got something, and man, it'd be boring, bro. I need some excitement.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to go to Australia.
Right.
Because, I mean, I could have fought in Dallas and all this and that, and I ain't want to go through all the people ask for tickets.
Right.
Man, bro, my fights, when I fight in Dallas, I be getting out like 40, 50 tickets.
Ooh.
And I don't even talk to 40, 50 people. I talk to probably 5 people, bro. If that.
In rotation?
Huh?
You rotate with about 5 people?
Yeah, probably like 7 people, bro. RJ, like, I'm not talking to people like that, so.
Yeah.
And I'm just giving out tickets, because, just people, man, you can grow up with people and all this and that. So,
I'm your cousin, man.
Yeah.
Brother, I ain't seen you.
All that, like, but, man, I just feel like I know that, I got a lot left. And for me, it's not, I'm not going to give it all to boxing. It's really a fight-by-fight basis. I might be done after this. It just all depends. I've been thinking about vacation spots where I'm going. I've been telling my girl, like, hey, man, we finna go here, we finna go there. Like, we finna dip.
That's how you know you getting older, bro.
Yeah, that's how you know you getting older. Like, for me, bro, I just want to sit and embrace the moment, bro, because I know this is over one day.
So, like, this, So this I can't even say low key. This is interesting. And this is concerning, but also, I don't want to say exciting, but it is at least giving me cause for pause on 2 fronts. Number one, let me flip my screen back before. Number one, that old clip that you saw gives me potential that he's going to want to continue. He said that life retired is born. I went to Australia because I want something exciting. I need something going on. At the same breath, you just heard this might be his last fight. He's going with this on a fight-by-fight basis. He's already thinking about vacation spots afterwards. And the most important thing with everything that we heard him say, I don't want to give my all to boxing. I got so much left in the tank, but I don't want to give it all to boxing. I'm going to take this on a fight-by-fight basis. This is that hope that we discussed. This is where that gets put into real tested waters, because now this just reiterates the position of you cannot not give everything to this sport and let it think, okay, you can just get it done. Or just do it for one fight and then it's whatever. Errol Spence at 36 years old with this recovery of a layoff could potentially be something that can still potentially move and be successful. But if you're already saying, I'm not giving everything that I got to this sport, at least for the time being, and in the future you're already saying, this thing ain't everything. On the surface, I understand, because we've said there's more to life than just boxing. But in the immediate, you cannot think like that while you're in it. You can't. Because we've covered before, you can die with this sport. You can die in this sport, or you can die after this sport. The after comes with retirement, the legacy, and all that stuff. But the end could be in the ring if you are not completely where you need to be. You just realize it. And see, this is where it gets concerning. Because we just covered that you weren't prepared mentally and physically for the fight with Crawford. Now coming back, even though it's against Tim Sue, you gone about it, everything, and this preparation is better. But now the mental aspect of I'm potentially halfway out the door, and this might be it, has me concerned a whole lot. Keith Thurman wasn't even thinking like this when he came back against Jarvis and Sebastian Fundora. He said, "I got a clear goal. We trying to go after a title. I want my run with a world championship around my waist once again. I want it." Manny Pacquiao, he retired. He came back. There was no inclination. This is a one-time deal. This is a one-time fight. Even though we all thought that could very well be the case, it was just, I'm fully committed to getting this fight with Barrios. I love this sport. I need this sport. And I want to be a champion again straight up. If with all the other detractions, justifiably so, about what we thought that fight would be like, the main thing that we could say was Pacquiao is going to give 100% for this fight, regardless of if this is his last fight or not, because he's not thinking about tomorrow. He's just sticking with today. There is no tomorrow, to quote the great Carl Weathers from Apollo in the movie Rocky. There is no tomorrow. And for Errol Spence, for all the stuff that we said I'm excited for with him, that's got to be his frame of thinking. Because if it's not, there won't be a tomorrow. And he can get knocked out again. He can get, and it can be bad. Also, Matt Morgan with the $2 super chat. How you doing? Good to see you. We are not good to see you. We already said hi. We appreciate that. More arms to the Empire. Spence will get slimed out in 2 rounds. And this is where that reality can happen. This is where that thought process can incur. And this is the, I don't want to say problem, but this has always been the concern with Spence, at least in the most recent of situations. We don't want him jumping in and out. If you're in, be in it fully. If you're out, be out of it fully. But if you're trying to play hot and cold and walk the line with you don't know what the future may hold, and yes, we've heard other fighters talk about that. Absolutely. This could be my last fight. This might be it. This could be the end-all, be-all of I just can't get it done. I understand, and that is going to be a concern for people. But at the same time, the focus hasn't wavered, or we haven't had the question. For this fight, the focus is there. For Spence, though, this is not like everybody else, because he moves to the tune of his own drum in a way that more than often he's reiterated, hey man, I'll come back when I'm ready. I'll come back when I feel like it. I'll come back when I feel I know I'm good, which is understandable. But also, when you are back, you do not need to be echoing those same sentiments while you are getting ready what can potentially be the final chapter in your career that, as you just alluded to, feels better than ever because of who you're working with now. And you're doing everything right now. If it's a fight-by-fight basis, I get that. But you should already be looking for 1 foot out the door. Especially when you're going up against somebody in Tim Sue, even with him being not necessarily the best up there. There's a reason, even at 154, we've said this countless times, it's arguably the deepest division in boxing, because even with the people that are at the bottom of the totem pole in that top 10, top 15 rankings, they're still dangerous enough that one night can shift the entire makeup of the division with anybody. Because all of them are indeed still, if they turn it up, they own that level of I can beat you. If you are not at your best, and if you ain't thinking at your best either, So this is why people saying he gonna get slimed out in 2 rounds, he gonna get knocked out in 4, he gonna get beat, he has no chance, stuff like that. When you say stuff like that and you echo those sentiments like that, right after you saying everything's all well and good, well now we're thinking you're still thinking like you were when you were on vacation with your family. I got time, I'll see how I feel. This doesn't mean I'm not excited. I'm not happy that he was with his family, with his kids, having time, having fun, and being a great father. There's no issue with that. It is the focus on the sport, now that you're back in the sport. If he's saying stuff like this, no matter what we just said for the last hour, the question now falls back to you. How dedicated are you to make this career or second half of your career work? How dedicated are you? How fervent are you that you want to make this thing shake and turn this into a last true ride that is worth remembering? More importantly, still accomplish the goal of being a champion, being a dog. How fervent are you that you and Errol Spence Jr. want to continue to have a legacy that will reign and rule at a new division? Because if Errol Spence Jr. is still thinking about retirement and still thinking about vacation and is still thinking about life after the sport while just coming back into the sport without a win in his return, even under his belt yet, there's some drastic concern that this could end horribly. Even with all the good things that he said have come out of this partnership with Ronnie Shields and his training camp and everything feeling like we are where we're supposed to be in the ring and outside the ring. All this could be for naught because this mind is not concretely and foundationally in this sport like it needs to be. And that's a problem. If it's true, that can be a major problem. And I don't want to see that happen, but my gosh, it can. It really can. Let me see. Legendary agreed. I'm just happy to see Jamel Charlo back in the ring. Yes, I am as well. Had a great jab. Fulton looked so bad in his last fight. I slightly favor him over Wilson, but I think it's a good fight. It is a good fight, absolutely. I'm saying us hoping, not Spence. Oh, okay, I hear what you're saying. I don't want to watch a guy who got slimed out in his last fight get slimed out again. I mean, I get it. Truly, I do. It's just, this is the danger that we don't want to potentially. We don't want to see Spence just fall by the wayside, but also this is the position in time that if there was any moment to have Spence answer the question, what are you? I still want to see it. I want to see it. Let me see. That's funny. My 92-year-old grandma was just using Foreman grill on Sunday. I always talk, yeah, man, look, that Foreman grill, it still is good even to this day. Let me see. Wise man, how you doing? Good to see you. Salute to you, and we appreciate you on our live stream. I think Spence is still a talented fighter and could make the 154-pound division interesting. One brutal loss to Crawford doesn't mean he's done completely. No, it doesn't. It does not. But now the focus shifts from the health of Errol Spence to the mentality of Errol Spence. Because we saw, like he said, Derrick James, that training camp was a bum of a coach, did nothing to prepare him properly, and he himself was at fault because Errol Spence was not taking care of his body. Now that we are post the Crawford saga, and now that we're in the new Errol Spence chapter, where this can potentially be the last ride of Errol Spence Jr. in his career as he makes his comeback. Errol Spence, with everything around him now, it is on him to make the decision to be able to commit fully to this sport. That's it. The Crawford loss does not define Errol Spence Jr. It shouldn't. It's a huge loss, but it shouldn't define it. The Crawford fight should not be the thing that everybody just bases, okay, yeah, he's a washed fighter. I understand that because Spence has been a great champion. However, the Crawford fight can happen again if the mentality of Errol Spence is still the same, that he's not completely enthralled in this sport. Because all the preparation without the personal dedication, which again, he said that he's doing now. But the sentiments of saying, I'm already thinking about retirement again, has us questioning, you're disciplined, sure, but are you focused in the way that you need to be while you're going through the motions of trying to be the best you can? Because there's a difference in just acting disciplined and being disciplined. Disciplined is a mentality. There's many people that go through the motions of what's the right thing to do, but when it actually comes down to actually making the shift to do the thing, they can't do it. Why? Because they didn't put the stuff ingrained in their psyche. They learned, they just memorized what to do, but they didn't learn what to do. That is what we don't want to see. And discipline can be the same thing. You can be taught the right things to do. You can be taught the right things that you're supposed to do in workouts, in training camp, eating right, and all that stuff. You can be taught a new way of living. But have you learned that way of living? Have you learned to apply that internally and make it a part of you rather than just going through the motions? And if you can't do that, all this stuff, when it comes down to, okay, now you got to put this into practice, it wasn't ingrained because you were still 1 foot in and 1 foot out the door of this is just a part of my routine instead of this is my life. There's a difference. And for Errol Spence to talk this way, this is where we get concerned because 1 foot in, 1 foot out, talking about retirement and vacation, but also saying everything can be better than ever. Are you just going through the motions of being able to be a better disciplined fighter? Or are you internalizing being able to be a disciplined fighter? And whatever one you're trying to do, it's going to come out on fight night. Whichever just straight up going through the motions version of Errol Spence or the actual internalized discipline of Errol Spence, whatever one of those shows up, we're going to find out that night because the performance is going to show you what type of Spence we have at this stage in his career. It's going to show you. And it can be good or it can be really bad. It can be good or it can be really, really bad. Let me see. Matt Borgerson, again, once again with a $2 super chat. We appreciate it once again. Can't box if you have a foot out the door. That's the thing. And there are people who they've been great enough. Being half-hearted can work up to a certain point. Spence is not at that point in his career. Not right now. He's not at that point in his career right now where you can afford to be half-hearted potentially in your dedication to the sport of wanting to be in the ring. Where 1 foot in and 1 foot out, I'm good enough that I can take on anybody without fail. We don't want that. We're scared of that because that at this stage is not enough because you are not that fighter anymore at this point in time. Where even a 50% or 75% Errol Spence would be enough to beat a majority of people. This ain't that no more. You need to be at 100%. Let me see, Ryan from the 6. Spence sounds like he's checked out. We're getting mixed messages. Like I said, I don't like confusion. Y'all know me. I hate confusion. I hate not knowing what's going on. I hate being in a whirlwind of news and words, but you can't put anything together concretely. With Spence, we're getting different messaging. In this same interview, we played different clips. I'm better. I'm dedicated. I got a coach. I got a regiment. I'm doing what I need to do, and I know how to be better. And then we're also saying, I'm already thinking about where I'm going to go to vacation, and this might be my last fight. I got to see how I feel. We're getting two different messages of a fighter that cannot afford to be in flux one way or another. He cannot afford that. And so it's not a checked out situation, but it's like a Harvey Dent situation. Half of him, like he said in the interview, he wants excitement. He wants to have something going on. He wants to fight. He likes to fight. That's one half. The other half is, I want to go on vacation. I don't want to give my all to this sport. And this could be it. And so one half sounds like he's locked in. The other half sounds like he's checked out. He's split down the middle. Jekyll and Hyde. Two-Face. Harvey Dent, Two-Face, DC villain. One of these sides got to take over. One of these sides is going to take over. And if it's the wrong side, if it ain't Tim Sue, it's going to be somebody else. They're going to show it. And it's going to be, yeah, you don't need to do this no more. Let me see. That's a good point. Fighting in Australia helps the mental strain more than fighting at home. I mean, I think that more so depends on the person. Because there's some people, that hometown crowd elevates them to push further. That support, that zeal, that we got 100,000 people or 80,000 people or 16,000 people, whatever stadium you're in, we got them behind you to go and make something happen. He may not like the personnel of people saying, I got to give tickets and all that stuff. That's him, though. That's him. And if that's him, that's fine. But for others, the support of that crowd pushes them to be able to say, I got people believing in me and I got people that want me to win. Rather than fighting behind enemy lines and saying, hey, I got all this whole people against me. The judges could even be against me. And I thrive in that environment. Everybody ain't built the same way. Everybody ain't. For Spence, if it's him, so be it. But if it works, it works. So I'm not mad at it. This ain't a bad fight because he's attempting, even with all the concerns we may have, he's going to Sue's own backyard, where we've seen in Australia, i.e. Manny Pacquiao, people get robbed all the time, like with Pacquiao versus Jeff Horn. We've seen that. This could be him all over again because of the hometown cooking. But doesn't matter because he wants to go over there. So I can't be mad at it. I can't. And maybe after this, he comes back and goes to fight in his hometown in Dallas against, hypothetically, Sebastian Fundora or somebody, anybody. But I can see it. Let me see. Yeah, I got Tim by TKO. See that last clip I played has a lot of people shifting and saying, you know what, all that you said, Jean-Luc, it's all right. All that stuff you said, Jean-Luc, it's all good. It's okay. It sounds nice. But then when you put what he says in that last clip, okay, yeah, it might just be all for smoke. You got to have, this is why it's Spence, he put himself in a bad pickle with that last sentiment. Sounding like he wants to be out the door already. Let me see. Tim Sue still wants to be world champion, so Spence better come prepared. Tim Sue knows this fight makes or breaks his future. Yes, thank you. This right here is one of the most important things. Also, before I continue, we got more people in the chat, like with Fight Buzz TV. Yo, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. We appreciate you. We appreciate you on our live stream today. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining on our show once again. Let me see. Yo, Welch the GOAT. You give your like, everyone in the comments. Go ahead and like. Please do, yes, please do hit the like button if you can. Virgil Ortiz versus Errol Spence at Cowboy Stadium would be huge. It would be. That would be a huge fight in name. Competitiveness, it wouldn't be competitive in my opinion, but the name value, yeah, it would be huge. Granted, we don't want Virgil Ortiz to take that fight because we want him to fight ultimately Jerron Boots Ennis or Sebastian Fundora or Josh Kelly or anybody, not Josh Kelly, but Kelly up in at 154, anybody of that sector champion, because he is a interim titleist that has yet to gain a title in his own right. All those fights I would want above Errol Spence, but the fight itself would be incredibly entertaining. However, Errol Spence can look at that to the future and say, if it happens, it happens. Tim Tszyu is not looking at it that way. Tim Tszyu, the next loss that Tim Tszyu has, he's probably done in any realm or any realm of fighting for a championship again. Or at least it's going to be a long shot more than ever because of a loss to Errol Spence, who's been out the ring for 3 years, would drastically hurt whatever stock Tim Tszyu has left of a contending framework in the immediate world of 154. And he's been dropping a lot of these last couple years. The Bakram fight still stings with him. And the fight that he won in his return bout didn't really elevate him so much back into the limelight of people. He's still around that Spence and Charlo domain, that Keith Thurman domain of talent. This is indeed, and going back to Shovel's response, this is Tim Tszyu's last chance. Or one of the last chances he's ever going to get. There's desperation. There's some desperation up here. We got to understand that. Tim Tszyu, he's the THX on the sound that you hearing. This is what he's feeling like. Overwhelmed. He's feeling overwhelmed due to the need for urgency. There is a last chance opportunity to have his position of being a champion still within his grasp as this new framework of the division takes hold and moves. The old era of what 154 was has been completely flipped on its head. And now it's a literal young guard versus or old dog versus young dog type of landscape, where the young dogs, Ortiz, Fundora, Boots Ennis, Xander Zayas, all are at the top. And Spence, Charlo, Keith Thurman, Tim Tszyu are all at the bottom, or all closer to the bottom of this division. And they're trying to fight up. Any of these people at this point in time can't afford to have a loss, especially a drastic one, lest they fall into the same trap that we just saw with the likes of Richard Torres, where everybody just simply throws them away and says, we don't need to worry about him no more. It's done. That's what can happen right now. If Tim Tszyu loses, there's a level of desperation that Tim Tszyu is going to have in this fight that he knows. This is not just a big payday. This is, if I lose against somebody that's been out the ring for 3 years in Errol Spence Jr., I, in terms of Tim Tszyu, have lost any framework of becoming a champion again. There is no way up if I lose this fight. Almost assuredly. Every fight for Tim Tszyu after this would be a gatekeeper fight for somebody else. It would be a gatekeeper fight for Jamal Charlo. If Jamal Charlo won and Tim Tszyu lost, then that fight would be, hey, another tune-up or another position to get ready for a bigger fight. Now I'm going to fight Tim Tszyu. Do him worse than what Errol Spence did to him, and then now I can further elevate, or rather build up my return status in boxing. But all of them are in the same boat right now. Errol Spence does not seem to have that same urgency. It could be because of the money he's gotten. Not saying it's turned him soft or anything like that. I'm simply saying that we what we're hearing from Spence and the position that Spence is in versus what we're hearing from Tim Tszyu and the position that Tim Tszyu is in, it's a completely different landscape right now. In a bad way. Where Tszyu has the desperation and the urgency of the moment. Errol Spence, he's retooled, but he doesn't sound as urgent as you would think somebody who is trying to get back to the mountaintop should be. And if you're not locked in like you need to be, that desperation for Tim Tszyu, it'll show up and it'll turn the world upside down. If there's a chance that staying at this position of the dream is still at hand. And Spence better be careful. He better be very careful. He better be very careful with that. Let me see. Spence has went to hostile territory before, going to the UK. Yep, to fight Kell Brook. Yep. I remember that. I do remember that. Absolutely. Pacquiao was cut from a completely different cloth. It is. He was. Let me see. Wise man, do you think we get a different version of Spence this time around or the same? We get a different version of Spence. I do. I think we get a different version of Spence. Or that's the wrong sound. There we go. I think we get a different version of Spence, but not different in the framework of everything is completely. He's a whole new fighter. He's fighting in a whole new style. I think we get a different version from the fight with Terrence Crawford, but I think we get the version of Errol Spence that is more akin to the prime style of Spence, not prime fighter. There's a difference. Going back to doing what he does best. I think we see that success in that framework, or at least that the execution look a whole lot similar to what we saw before. Now, the fighter himself doing the right stuff and having success with said stuff is going to be a completely different game. Because that's on him, whether or not his body and his ability is going to be up to snuff. But in terms of as a boxer, moving and thriving and working to be different, working to be better, working to be new, I don't think, will look like what we saw against Terrence Crawford. I don't think. But I don't think he's going to be revolutionary. This is a whole different fighter, and he's fighting in a way that we've never seen before. I don't even think he needs to go that far in that type of mode of shifting and changing, because he's still a walk down, hurt type of fighter. Break you apart, break your ribs, swell up your face, war of attrition. I'm going to make you fight nose to nose, and I'm going to go and beat you up to the body and make it so that in this battle of endurance, you can't win. More importantly, you're not durable enough to take this for 12 rounds without losing a piece of yourself, losing your guard, losing your chin, losing your ability to take shots to the body, losing your legs to be able to move away from me, having the ability to stand in front of me and keep your ground. You are not going to be able to win that battle. That is what Errol Spence has done best his entire career. That is the Errol Spence that we know. That is the Errol Spence that has been so exciting for a majority of people all around the globe. But that's an Errol Spence that we don't know if he will be able to get back to. But that's the style that we know he is at his best in. I think we'll see him get back to that. I think we'll see him be confident in that framework of we in tight, we in close, uppercut, and just systematically one shot, chip away, walk you down, get you to the corner, chip away. Bludgeoning power. That's what we gonna see. Or get back to, Defensively though, I think that'll be the biggest thing that changes. I think we're going to get a overhaul in effectiveness with his defense when he's walking people down. Because at this stage in Errol Spence's career, the style won't change, but it is the defense that needs to be refined, because he cannot afford to test his chin after what happened to him against Terrence Crawford. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's call a spade a spade. He cannot afford to test his chin after what happened to him against Terrence Crawford. He can't. I'm not saying he isn't durable. I'm not saying he cannot take a punch. I am saying that from whether it's one fight or a multiplicity of fights that he has after this fight against Tim Tszyu, Errol Spence cannot afford to not be defensively sound. More importantly, have better defense than we've ever seen before, strictly with his guard, because he can't afford to have his chin be tested again, lest he goes and all of a sudden he's never the same. Or what we saw from him in that fight with Terrence Crawford has made him never the same. He can't afford to do that. He's going to have to be a defensive savant, or at least a defensive powerhouse from the standpoint of guarding. From the standpoint of while you're in the pocket, not getting caught with some of those same counter windows that Errol Spence was catching you with. Not getting hit with some of the stuff that Errol Spence was able to get you with when it came to inside work. You can't afford to have that happen again. Because if you do, it's going to be a bad time. Because be clear, Tim Tszyu still is strong. Tim Tszyu, excuse me, this was a clip I was trying to show of Tim Tszyu hitting the heavy pad. Tim Tszyu is still strong. Tim Tszyu, for everything that we can say about him, that man can still, if he gets a chance to throw and plant his feet, he can still swat. He can still really throw some heavy shots. As you can see right here in this, hold on. There we go. Yeah, as you can see right here, Tim Tszyu, if he gets a chance to land something flush, and he does, it's going to be bad. This is not a Tim Tszyu that is just hold on. I don't need to do all that right now. But this is not a Tim Tszyu that is just so what's the word? Helpless. This is still a threat that can do you in if you go and you're not smart. And he may be a slow starter, but once he does get going, he turns into a hard man to beat on the offensive end because he can still crack with some real heavy thunder. It may be just one shot at a time, even though he's got faster hands than people oftentimes recognize, but he can still straight up crack. Errol Spence has got to be better defensively to not get caught on the chin, on the face, and take that same punishment. Lest he gets put in a bad way, even against an opponent that on paper you can beat and is more vulnerable than we've ever seen before in Tim Tszyu. That's what I think we're going to see. We're not going to see Errol Spence overhaul his whole style, but we are going to see him refine the defensive aspect of his game to make him more of a turtle when it comes to having the capacity to still do damage, still apply pressure, still go and give you all the work without nearly as many of the holes to land and stifle him. And most importantly, I don't think we're going to see him reach for punches like we saw against Terrence Crawford or like we saw against other fighters in the past in his career. The one thing I said about Errol Spence Jr. when he fought against Terrence Crawford was going to be able to counter him with that left strike because he overreaches and everybody else was too scared to take a chance to counter that punch because of the damage and the danger that Errol Spence brought to the table. Crawford was the only man that I could see that would be willing to take that chance every time and be quick enough and confident enough I can go and land it without having to worry about anything else. And he did it. And it helped to start the beginning of the end of the complete one-sided affair that we saw on that night. In fact, it started that whole saga of 9 rounds of destruction. Turned that best weapon that Spence has on him against him. All because Errol Spence kept on overreaching time and time again with that left. But I think now he's going to fix that on top of the defense. And refining his style, it's going to be one of the best things he can do. It's going to be one of the best things that can happen to him. It's going to be one of the best things that turns this potential comeback into something that isn't just a one-time deal. It isn't going to have him just saying, this might be my last fight. It could very well be. I felt good. I won good. I am good. And I want to keep this going. And it very well could continue the career of Errol Spence Jr. if it is a fight-by-fight basis. And we could definitely still see him thrive. We could definitely still see him thrive if he does indeed take that initiative to fix said problems that showed up in the Terrence Crawford fight. But even still, we got more to cover on this show. And I do want to make sure that we cover everything else in the world of boxing, as we have so many more. Well, actually, before I even, can I find this other clip of Spence being able to spar and what he's looked like in recent months? If I can't, we're going to move on and we're going to go through and talk about the rest of the card, like with Charlo and Charlo in his return, as well as some stuff with Joanne Boots Ennis that we didn't get to discuss yesterday, off the backs of asking the question, because people are still saying this man should be number 1 or number 5 or number 10 pound for pound if he beats Zayas. And I need to plant my feet and tell y'all whether or not that is true. Y'all have already heard my sentiments on it. I don't think it's true, but I want to hear why people have that opinion from the public at hand. If you would be so kind as to tell me what your thought process is on the matter. But as we continue to go through, we still want to make sure we hear from you in all facets of life in the world of boxing. And since we are at the, well, no, we're not at the 2-hour mark yet, so we got some time. So we can actually discuss the likes of Charlo real quick, as Charlo is going to be fighting on the card of Errol Spence as the co-main event. And we didn't get to talk about Charlo as much. Understandable. We didn't get to talk about Charlo as much in the framework of his return to the ring. But let's address this right now. Charlo against Mazarda. Yes, we already said I think he can win. Yes, it's a decent matchup. But Jamal Charlo, as a bigger, older brother, we need to see him, for me, get a unanimous decision. That's very important. Not a knockout. Not necessarily going through and blowing through the competition. We need to see Charlo, if he can, get a straight up unanimous decision. Because I need to see a dominant performance from round 1 to round 12 or 10, however long the fight is, in order for me to have some better belief that Charlo is indeed back. Last time he fought was on the undercard with Resendiz against Thomas Lamana, I believe. Resendiz became a plant, Charlo and Thomas Lamana. This is the last time we saw Charlo fight. I need to see him have a complete, unabashed, clean victory where everything works out in his favor without any sort of recourse. Because same boat but different stigma is on the framework of Tim Tszyu. He's been gone. He's been out. He ain't fought in a hot minute. He's been in the ring sooner than Errol Spence, I believe, but he's still been in the ring longer than anybody wants him to. We cannot afford to have him losing his frame of not just discipline, but straight up losing his control of what he's known to be able to do in a fight, where he's able to keep you with that jab wherever he wants you to be. If we see that falter in some regards, especially against somebody like Mendoza, oh, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be dangerous. And it's going to be problematic for the rest of this division. Because, again, I believe he's moving up to 168. He still is eyeing the big boys of the world, of Canelo, of Shiraz, of Christian and Billy, Lester Martinez, and the whole likes of that division. I believe he needs to make a statement that I'm not just back, but I am indeed just like I never left. Some would say, well, you ain't saying that for Errol Spence. Why are you saying that for the likes of Charlo? Well, because Charlo, unlike Errol Spence, has had opportunities not just to come back, but has also came back successfully and then restarted his own layoff process again. And we were saying that's problematic because now When we saw you last, it looked like you still had something left in the tank, and we were all excited, and then you just stagnated once again. And now we're at a position where you may be off that last true raw, coming back. That version of Charlo, you may not even be able to get back to because you kept on waiting it out so long. And that can be problematic. Very problematic. Errol Spence at least got 3 years of straight up no activity at all. You've had activity, and then with good activity, you just stopped entirely. That, to me, inexcusable. And to me, problematic. And so I expect and need you to show that you're at least at that level. Because this is a situation where it seems like you willingly let yourself leave the ring. And you showed you can still do stuff in the ring with consistency. We had a problem with that. I have a problem with that. And if you want me to believe that you can actually still be able to work like we think you can work, come back and shine like we know you can shine. Because anything less, for me, yeah, it's going to be a problem. For me, it's going to be a major problem, in my opinion. But even still, we got more stuff to cover on the world of boxing. Like with, where's that? Hold on. Where's that? Let me find it. Let me find it right here. Because there is a, where is it at? Not Tim Zoo, not Errol Spence. Not Shakur. Oh, that's what I wanted. Shakur. Because we still got some stuff with the whole framework of Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney. That whole talks of whether or not they will or won't fight. All of a sudden, somebody compiled a list of Shakur saying how this fight could actually happen between him and Devin Haney. And coupled that with what's going on now, Devin Haney calling his bluff, saying he's going to fight at 154 or 144, and he will come down. And now Shakur seemingly is nowhere to be found. We got to say, or ask at least, what's the holdup? And again, not my work, but I think it's a poignant thing because we got some compiled evidence of what Shakur said over the course of the last, couple months to a year. When it comes to Devin Haney and him, how and if and when they will fight and what it would take for them to fight when asked directly about it. And I'll let this evidence show you for itself. Let me make sure you can actually see it. Okay, you all can see it. Here you go.
I think it could happen. I think it just got to make sense. With Ryan Garcia, he just said he'll come down to 144 pounds. So if he'll come do that and it makes sense, let's do it.
Would you rather fight Ryan Garcia or Devin Haney?
I would rather fight either or. I think any of these guys get in front of me, they got a lot to deal with.
Who are you here with? Are these people, who's your man?
Can we get Haney versus Shakur? Is that the one?
Yeah, you know what's crazy, though? That I would love about that fight? I think that Haney fought at a catchweight against Jose Ramirez 2 fights ago, if I recall. And it was 144 pounds. So I would love to do it at 144 pounds. We could meet in the middle. I don't think that the belt has to be on the line. I think that the fight is big enough for both of us to be fighting at a catchweight. And I don't think the belt really matter in that instance. I think we can both sell out a big arena, and it'll be a tremendous fight.
Couldn't agree more. You're two of the biggest names in American boxing and boxing, period. Have there been any talks about making this fight happen?
Nah, I haven't heard nothing.
Sport of boxing, bro. What I gotta go to 147 for you for when me and you could meet in the middle? We could meet 144.
That's what you proposing. 44.
Let's do it. What's the problem? I don't see the issue. You just fought. Hold up. Let's remember correctly. He fought Brian Norman, and before that fight, he fought Jose Ramirez. When he fought Jose Ramirez, the weight was at 144 pounds. So if he's fighting at 144 pounds against Jose Ramirez 2 fights ago, what is the problem with fighting me at 144 pounds?
So, again, somebody went through and compiled a list of different instances of Shakur talking about 144. Now, we've talked about this a lot. We talked about who's ducking who, what's going on. And we talked about the both sides of the coin, or at least attempted to. But when you put this side by side, and when you put all this evidence together, based on what we've now seen from Devin Haney, again, for those of you who didn't know, Shakur had said that he wanted to fight at 144 to fight Devin Haney. Devin Haney asked on social media and agreed, yeah, if it's at 144, will you come fight me? He said yes, and he called his bluff. And now, since that interaction, nothing has transpired. And if anything, Devin Haney has said that Shakur all of a sudden has gone AWOL with their position to actually make that fight not take place. And he's eyeing Keyshawn Davis as the next fight that he wants to have because Shakur isn't going down, seemingly, because Shakur isn't answering anything after agreeing to do the catch weight of 144. It makes it look like now that Shakur is avoiding Devin Haney. I can't lie. And mind you, we don't say ducking lightly. We don't use ducking as a dominant position in the framework of boxing as a whole. We don't do that. We try to keep it more so even kill. And in fact, also be clear, this is the championship rounds as we're in the latter half of the show. We want to hear from you in all framework of boxing and beyond. Your thoughts, your opinions, your reactions, and everything in between when it comes to you in the world of boxing and the sports ethos. This is your time to shine. 30 minutes to an hour, whatever discussions you want to have with boxing, NBA, NFL, Boots, Ennis, Devin Haney, Shakur, shoot, in a way, bam. Earlier talks that we had with Errol, Spence Jr., everything involving the future or the past of his career, or just anything that we haven't talked about yet on the show. We want to hear from you, absolutely. But as we're in this championship round segment, going off of Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney, we don't throw around that Devin Haney is avoiding Shakur lightly. Or excuse me, we don't throw around that Shakur is avoiding Devin Haney lightly. We don't throw around the ducking word lightly. We try to be more judicial with said sentiment. However, with that judicial usage, we got to be honest. This is a terrible look when you look at all the evidence of Shakur saying he would fight at 144 against a multiplicity of people. And then now when Devin Haney does say, I'll fight you there, he doesn't go and respond in any kind of way. No talks, dead silence, no answering. Everything seems to be quiet as a mouse. And I'm very concerned as to why. This is problematic. Because this is now what you asked for. And I'll even give the caveat. Shakur may not want Devin Haney to go and rehydrate up to 170. He may not want to have it so that it's at 144, and then he all of a sudden, night of the fight, he's coming in 168, like he did when he fought at 135 against Lomachenko, but he came in looking like he was 150, 154. Because he can naturally balloon back up into a huge weight class. He's a big dude. He is. But that doesn't change the fact that you've already said you wanted this to happen. And the biggest thing was you said if the fight makes sense and it's at a catch weight, we can make it happen. You even said you said you didn't need a belt to make it happen. You said Shakur Stevenson has said all this stuff when it comes to Devin Haney. We don't need a belt for the title. If it's the right fight that's big enough, we can make it happen. I would love to fight them at a catch weight or fight him at a catch weight. And everything that you wanted that would make this fight plausible to happen, Devin Haney has called your bluff and said we can make it happen. You can fight for my titles. There's a belt on the line. This is the biggest fight that you can have out of every other fight that you can make right now at 140 or at 135, even though you have multiple prospects. And it's at the weight that you want, which is 144. And now you go dead silent with all those interactions. After going on, as you can see with the clips, not owned by me, but you went on the Stephen A. Smith show, you went on Errol Hawani, and you've gone on other podcast platforms like Andre Ward's show and said this same stuff, that these are the things that need to happen in order for you to make a fight. This is bad. And this looks like a duck. Straight up. Straight up. It looks like a duck. It looks like a duck. I can't put it any plainer. It looks like a duck. It's one of the worst things that you can say, but it's the truth. It looks like a duck. Sean Zeidel came out and said that this may be because of leverage and positioning. Because Shakur has so many prospects, he wants to be able to use all that stuff to his advantage and not fall to the whims of what somebody else wants to do. We jump when I say jump, not when you say you need to jump. If that's the thing, okay, fine. It still doesn't change the fact that you pulled a Tyson Fury and Devin Haney pulled an Usyk. You made all these demands and Devin Haney capitulated. And now you're running and not taking the fight. And I say running from the standpoint of you're dead silent. There's nothing moving. There's nothing being done on your end because of what transpired. We should have had those talking negotiations. We're discussing if we can make this fight happen, at least at some point in time, with some sort of announcement. Because at least Bill Haney has been saying publicly, hey, we've had stuff on the table. We've had stuff in a deal. And if we can't fight you, we'll fight Keyshawn Davis. But we've had stuff here. And they addressed you directly. They said yes to what you wanted, and now there's nothing. Where or why is this still a problem if you're Devin Haney when we're looking at this whole situation saying, hey, now, it should be a no-brainer. Let's make the fight. Let's get it going on. Let's get stuff popping. This looks like, and it's going to be said by a lot of people, a duck. It's going to look like a duck. And people, off of, again, you just fighting Teofimo Lopez, off of you fighting and having a phenomenal opportunity against one of the better boxers in the world, and having your face plastered on everybody's radar as a great fight and a great fighter that should be in position to take over the sport as one of the most notable names in all of boxing. That's where you set yourself up for. And yet you are now still falling by the wayside not just as quickly, but in a significant way. That there's no way, knowing what we know and what we just experienced with you, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be this is going down. It shouldn't be. And this feels like a duck. As much as I don't want to say it, as much as I don't want to just throw that word out there, with everything that we have right now, and what we just played, this feels like a duck. And this is bad. This is bad. Because I said that I think you would beat Chico. I said you would beat Devin Haney. But this is apparently you may not feel the same way if you're just going dead silent after you went publicly for months saying what you wanted to happen directly after the biggest fight of your career in Teofimo Lopez. And let me keep on reading your chats and responses on the show, like with Dale Anderson. How you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on the live stream. Jean Dr. Boxing, I'm getting to my nerves. This is what I'm talking about. Also, hi. Yeah, no, look, I get it. I get it. I do understand. Let me see. Bam. Dr. Boxing saying Bam Rodriguez is exposing in a way for clout chasing. How would Bam be exposing in a way for clout chasing when everybody's been getting clout and or reputations off of Inoue? That's a little bit confusing. This is why I will keep complaining about the people that keep disrespecting Inoue. Yeah, they gonna keep doing that. At this point in time, just finding a reason to hate, it just makes no sense. But it is what it is with them. But like we know what's the real when it comes to why that fight is big and who's trying to get to who and who is the big player in this situation. Let me see. The same guy who said Inoue ducked MJ even after defeating MJ. Well, yeah, again, he's just going to act like a hater. Okay, no shade to any channels. Be clear, no shade to anybody. But those types of sentiments, those are things that haters say when it comes to trying to detract against somebody who is actually doing great stuff, which is a shame, but it is what it is. And you can't really fight that. We just know what the real is. In a way, he's going to stay at 126 up until he tries to fight Bam when Bam gets up to 122. Bam said Rodriguez's trainer, Robert Garcia, said they want to fight anyway. They got one more fight. They're going to try to unify this division and then move up. His words, not mine. We're going to see what takes place. And I think they're already in talks with somebody as we speak right now. But that's a whole other conversation. Just know, any sentiments like that, it's not real. It ain't true. But back to the matter at hand when it comes to Devin Haney and Shakur. This situation of fight is indeed very bad for the image of Shakur Stevenson. And it's now everybody's jumping, rightfully so, to ask Shakur, what are you going to do? Where's your answer or response or rebuttal? Because it's been MIA since Devin Haney said yes to what you wanted to happen. Unless stuff is moving behind the scenes, everything else is just looking like you are nowhere to be found. And more importantly, it's looking like because he's going after because Devin Haney's going after Keyshawn Davis, and he's no longer looking for this fight, it's looking like he went to your doorstep, said, you called me out, I'll come see you. All right, I'll go face the man that is actually trying to be about that action, Keyshawn Davis, and we'll make that fight at 147. Because he's coming up to me. And it's, I'll say this personally. I didn't see this type of move coming after the Teofimo Lopez fight. I didn't. And even what makes it worse, we're not seeing Shakur do anything since not answering the response of Devin Haney. This is another problem. Let me get my words together. Beyond just having Devin Haney answer the call out of Shakur and Shakur going dead silent. The other half of the equation, Shakur Stevenson, even with all the other options that he has, is not doing anything. Murray has sent him a contract. He hasn't responded. Abdullah Mason's a champion at 135. He's fighting Joe Cordina. Fine. You haven't said that you want to take that fight. Floyd Schofield's in a position to fight Tank in the fall. Great. And you at 135 have still not made any moves to negotiate with any of them on any regards for if they win, if they lose, or just to throw your hat in the fray. At 140, and Gary Antoine Russell, who's a champion, you haven't looked to try to make a fight with him in your own division. Dalton Smith, who's a champion, you haven't tried to make a fight there. All the prospects at 140 and at 135, you haven't even moved to try to make a fight with, even though you said you wanted to make a fight. You were down to go back down. You have all these other positions to take, and you're not taking them. And when all of them are below the opportunity to fight Devin Haney, and you said you want not just the biggest fight, but that specific fight, if the numbers make sense, you'll make it happen. The numbers seem like they're making sense, and it's the biggest fight that you wanted, and it's the biggest fight you can get, and you're still not making it happen. You're falling into the same trap that we've said with other champions, where you're just sitting on the sidelines doing nothing. That's what the optics look like. You're sitting on the sidelines doing nothing. You're letting everybody else pass you by with opportunities and fights where you should be in the thick of all this hullabaloo. You should be in the thick of all this noise with everybody involved. Yet you're not. It's beyond just Devin Haney. Nobody that you have an opportunity to fight with, you're not even entertaining with contract negotiations. With, let's make a unification fight. Let's go and try to make this division whole by having one champion, which is me. Let's go down to 135 and take some belts there. You're not even moving in that regard. With this fight with Devin Haney being right in your wheelhouse. That's the problem. And Daryl Anderson, is Shakur and Devin Haney ducking each other? No. Devin Haney is not ducking Shakur. But it is strongly looking like Shakur is ducking Devin Haney. That's the truth. As of right now, that's the truth. Devin Haney is not ducking Shakur Stevenson. But Shakur looks like he's ducking Devin Haney. Without a doubt. As of right now. Is it Shakur trying to get leverage? Well, I don't see where that leverage is being used because everybody else has a fight but you. And the people that did send you a fight, like Murataya, you haven't responded with. I don't understand. We're keeping it a buck, just like we talked about with everybody else. Just like we talked about when Fury was avoiding Usyk, Canelo avoiding Benavidez. All these other situations of somebody not fighting somebody, that we've kept it the same. If the evidence provides is accordingly true, we got to hold it for Shakur. And Shakur, we loved the way that he was moving before. We loved it. We had no gripes up until a gripe came up. This is a gripe that's coming up, without a doubt, and it's deserved because he is not answering his own call of what it takes to be great. He's not. Shakur made the demands. Shakur said 144. Shakur said the money had to be right. Shakur was the one that wanted all of this to take place. Shakur wanted opportunities to become the face of boxing. Shakur was the one that wanted to show he was the best in the world. And Shakur was the one that called out Devin Haney. And Devin Haney answered all of those call-outs and went and agreed to fighting below his weight. And still Shakur said nothing. The catch weight wasn't enough. The money doesn't seem to be enough. The belts don't seem to be enough. When previously, those all were the things that Shakur said needed to happen to make the fights with anybody, whether it was Ryan Garcia or Devin Haney. And now, it's nothing. To me, it makes no sense. And I brought up the catchweight situation. Maybe Shakur doesn't want Devin Haney to fight at 170 on fight night. Cool. Rehydration clause, 154. That seems fair, does it not? Now, people say, well, if you got a problem with, you had a problem with Tank using a rehydration clause on Ryan Garcia, why is it not a problem now when Shakur doesn't? The issue is, Tank had fought above 140 before, or Tank had fought at 140 before against the likes of Mario Barrios, who was not 140 on the night of the fight. He was closer to 150, and he still knocked him out. Ryan Garcia, even with rehydration, could still be big and be within the range of what we know you can fight it. And you should have been at 140 beforehand, because clearly you showed you can belong. The rehydration clause was unnecessary because of what we had seen you do and handle with phenomenal precision and power at 140-pound division against the biggest man at 140 at that point in time. So it looked unnecessary. It felt unnecessary. But you did it. For Shakur, he doesn't want to be at a disadvantage. He doesn't want to give up opportunity. He doesn't want to give up weight. Perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. But then at least make the demand for it. If that's the case. Rehydrate. You can't go up above 154. 10 pounds, 15 pounds, whatever the case may be. All right. But if that's what you're holding in your back pocket, or you're just not saying it because you don't want to be seen as, well, I said I wanted something to happen. He said he's going to come down, but that's not enough because I have this other thing that I also need. You need to say it. Because right now, every demand you wanted got met and you're still just AWOL. It's a problem. It looks like a duck. It does. It absolutely looks like a duck. Without a doubt, it looks like a duck. Let me see. Maybe Shakur is getting ready. Is getting ready for the sidelines. I don't know what else he should get ready for. I don't know what else you should get ready for. Because this is the fight he wanted. He said that fight can happen next. He said, I want Devin Haney or Ryan Garcia, any of them, at 144 on 3 separate occasions. Oh, you talking about for Devin, I mean. That's fine. If he needs to get ready for Devin Haney, perfect. That's cool. But it's not cool when you're the one that started this whole conversation and now you're just going silent. Because he was moving as if he was already ready. He called out Devin Haney. He wanted that smoke. He said what needed to happen. He said what Devin Haney, who is the champion at that division, needed to do to have the luxury to fight him, to come up there. You need to come down here. And he said yesterday, again, it's a Tyson Fury Usyk situation. You were the one that said we need certain things to be met for me to come off the sideline to make stuff shake. Now, I did this so you can be off the sidelines and we can start negotiations and you can get yourself training. Boom, we got to fight. And Shakur Stevenson, he's always been stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. We know his work ethic has been impeccable. And this time, it's been him that has been stopping all of this conversation that he started. He started all of this. Devin Haney sure said, I'll fight anybody and everybody. Keyshawn Davis came at him and said, I want that smoke. Sure. Bill Haney said that they want Devin and Keyshawn. That's the fight that they want. Cool. But you then went and said, this specific thing needs to happen and it will make this fight. And so you threw the ember into the fire to say, I want to burn bright. And now, where's the flame that you said that you wanted to have? That's where the issue comes into play. For me, that's where the issue comes into play. Let me see. I still don't like Devin Haney, but I'm surprised he said, yeah. Like, this is why I've said consistently, routinely, you cannot like Devin Haney. I've said this consistently. You cannot like Devin Haney. You cannot enjoy Devin Haney. You can say Devin Haney is not all that. You can say Devin Haney is annoying. You can say you don't like his dad. You can say he doesn't have power. You can say he's a runner. You can say whatever you want about how you feel. He's doesn't want to fight. He's a boxer that is scared of actual pop. You can say he's nothing but a boring point scorer. I don't care what you say about him in the framework of what he is as a boxer. The only thing you can't say about him, he does not avoid competition. Day in, day out, consistently, I have never had to question his willingness to step in the ring to fight somebody. Never. He could have canceled that fight when Ryan Garcia came in 3 pounds overweight drinking and willingly missed weight. He still took that fight. We've seen him go into enemy territory multiple times against multiple people. We've seen him take on the best in the world in Lomachenko at that point in time in his career. Or at least the second best fighter, one of the 5 best fighters in the world in Lomachenko at that point in time, 135, without hesitation. We've seen him move up and fight Brian Oman Jr., who was seen as the boogeyman directly after a bad performance against Jose Ramirez, where everybody was questioning, do y'all still got it? He went and took on the biggest puncher in the division, who was looking like the best at 147, and completely nullified him without fail, without question, and did it immediately. We were all shocked that fight took place, and he showed, I don't duck nobody. I am as good as I said I am. He's never been one to avoid any framework of competition. Don't forget, I think it was in talks to potentially fight the likes of Teofimo Lopez before Teo fought Shakur. Before the talks broke through and broke down. He's never ducked anybody. he's always been, at minimum, willing to fight the best of the best without fail. You can say a lot about Devin Haney. You can't say that brother is ducking competition, because he's been routinely taking challenges left, right, and center. That's why he's one of the most accomplished boxers in the world. That's why, as much as you may not respect the style in which he fights, you can respect him as a fighter, because he doesn't run from smoke. And he hasn't done it his entire career, and he hasn't done it now, because he agreed to fight at a smaller weight class of a catch weight that the man coming up to him in Shakur said he wanted to do. You can't say nothing. You can't. As much as people may want to, you can't overlook that. Let me see. Let me see. Ain't got more than 5 minutes, but what's up? What's up to you, Teddy Berkshire? How you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on the live stream, but Spence making excuses. We said it wasn't excuses. We said this was genuinely what happened. Because if it was excuses, he would have. If he was trying to use this as an excuse, he would have used this stuff the day after the loss of Terrence Crawford. But he spent 3 years just saying nothing, and then said, "Hey man, I lost." He even manned up and said, "It's my fault I lost," straight up. But this is also what happened. Context provided. This is all that took place. But this is not an excuse. I got whooped. And I felt like I was going to get whooped going into this fight, which he said in the interview. So, like, I don't think it's a excuse-driven situation. I think it's genuine. Let me see. I got shock over Dream. I do too, but right now it looks like Shock is ducking him. Oh, excuse me, Shakur, not Shock. No, Shock is Foster. It looks like Shakur is ducking Devin Haney. Shakur over the Dream. I said I think Shakur is a better fighter. But right now, it's looking like he does, with what he asked for, he's not actively going after when it is available. So it doesn't make any sense to me. Let me see. And I will at least have you called out Devin Haney on stupid things that he has done. Yeah. Devin Haney's done some dumb stuff. He's done some belligerent stuff. Sure. He's done some stuff that people have gotten under people's skin. He's been disrespectful. He has. His dad has been, him and his dad have created enemies all across boxing. That doesn't change how the truth of the matter, that this man has genuinely just been moving like you would want a champion to move, regardless of all those other situations. Let me see. But I see not Bill Haney. I see Haney as the aggressor in that fight, but losers taking chances. Yeah. And let's be real. Let's talk about it in the way that it should be talked about. Shakur Haney as a fight, what would it look like? That fight would most likely be a very stagnant affair, and somebody's going to do what they don't feel comfortable doing, if it ever took place. And Haney most likely would have to be the one that is coming forward to land that jab or being active to try to score and keep that distance. Shakur Stevenson, great technically and all that stuff. He's phenomenal. And Shakur is so dedicated. Both of them are on the back foot, sure. But also, Devin Haney is what did Shakur call Devin Haney? I think he called him a front runner, or he called somebody a front runner, where you need to win the first 6 rounds so that afterwards you can just lay off for the rest of the fight. Devin Haney loves to fight like that. Let's be real. In a fight between Haney and Shakur, Devin Haney would be a guy that would want to win the first 6 and then afterwards let his foot off the gas pedal, clinch you up and hold you. But against Shakur, I don't think that would work, because of the way Shakur fights. You can't just outpoint him and be successful. You can't. He is so patient, you would have to take chances, even with your jab, to land something. And because of the accuracy and the ability to make you miss so easily, Shakur would be able to force Devin Haney into a hole where those first couple rounds, all of a sudden, it's 3-1. It's 2-2 with Shakur taking the rounds 3 and 4. It could be even 4-0 with the ability of Shakur to control distance and with his jab alone, out jab Devin Haney in my opinion. And land better inside counter shots. It would be that then afterward, Devin Haney would have to do what he did against Ryan Garcia. Become the aggressor even more so. Start throwing belligerent hooks, uppercuts, straights, and all that stuff to try to get the grounds back. Because now his ability just to win the first 5, first 6, and then just clinch you up, hold you, and make you stall out for the rest of the fight, it wouldn't work. It would not work. It would not work against the likes of Devin Haney. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. It would not work. It would not work against the likes of Shakur. It wouldn't. It couldn't. Most likely. Sure, Devin Haney could catch him. Sure, Devin Haney could hurt him. Devin Haney has power. Devin Haney has leverage. Devin Haney has strength. Yes, he does. But he doesn't have the built-in mentality as the aggressor to be successful like he would need to be against Shakur. But Shakur could do it both ways, going backwards and forwards. But he just won't give Haney any ability to land what he wants to land, most likely, and force Devin Haney to go and turn into a more aggressive volume puncher. And that would turn Shakur into Devin Haney's worst nightmare. A counter puncher that you can't land and keep at bay because now you have to go within his range. And now you're in trouble. That's what I think would happen in the fight. But because Shakur is not taking the 144 catch weight and starting negotiations that Devin Haney agreed to, maybe he doesn't think that that's going to be what's going to happen. Maybe. Because I do think he's a better fighter than Devin Haney. But I don't like the way that he's moving with this fight on the table directly in front of him. I don't like that. It's problematic. It really is. It really is. And I hate it. I really do hate it. Let me see. Yep, Shakur on the back foot. Yeah, I could see him on the back foot. And most likely he would want to be on the back foot. Because if it can be Devin Haney at his own game, well, then Devin Haney really doesn't have a shot. Really doesn't have a shot at all at the success that you would think. Or at least it's very much diminished. Because then a whole portion of his game plan goes out the window. Now what you're going to do? Do you want to take a chance against the most accurate counterpuncher in the game where you would be at a disadvantage? Crazy enough. Especially with what we saw in sparring when you and Haney fought against each other. Now, we're not saying sparring tells the whole story, but we are saying it can give a potential preview, like what we saw with David Benavidez and Zurdo Ramirez. And lo and behold, what happened in that sparring match happened in the ring. Without pads, though, it ended in a dramatic KO. And that's what can happen. That is what can happen. We may not, it's not what I want to say, but it's what can take place. It absolutely is what can take place, and it's a shame, but it's the truth of the matter. But as we keep on going through for the world of boxing, we do want to make sure we cover some of the things that we didn't get to cover yesterday, like with other news in the framework of the world of this sport, like this right here, we didn't get to cover yesterday. We were supposed to, we didn't get to cover yesterday. News involving the elevation of Tank's return to the ring as he's looking to fight Floyd Schofield, now slated for the fall of this year. Yes, it is real. It is true. It's actually happening. Something we didn't think was actually going to take place in the world of boxing. Tank committing and coming back and thriving in the realm of becoming or retaining his titles, even though he should have been stripped by the WBA already. But this is going to be for the WBA championship, going up against Floyd Schofield, who has been in positions to have opportunities at a belt as one of the best young fighters at 135. Now, as we're looking at this fight, there is some questions about not just the ability of Schofield to win against the likes of Tank, but let's also ask the question that needs to be asked when it comes to Schofield. Schofield, can you elevate your game to beat Tank Davis, who's had so much turmoil outside the ring that we don't know how he's going to look? Now, we got people on social media saying, Tank's been in the ring. I've been hearing everything about Tank. He's been training this whole time. He's been on the run from the cops and all this other stuff about him always being prepared. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't. I really don't. And even if that's the case, we have to look at Tank as a fighter and say, okay, he's not invincible and he's not invulnerable. He should be able to be Schofield, but there is a light sense of mild concern because that fight with Lamont Roach, who was indeed not on anybody's radar as somebody that could beat Tank, all of a sudden put on a performance that had Tank not just in fits, but should have lost that fight. And if Lamont Roach had some more power with some of the shots he was landing, that fight could have been more definitive in ways that we didn't expect. Schofield definitely has that power to put stuff in a concerted effort. People are still reeling from the performance that he had against the likes of Tevin Farmer. Everybody's still excited about what that fight could be for the future of Schofield as his progression as a talent. But he doesn't have the experience of what we've seen from the caliber of fighter that Tank is. And hasn't been in the ring with people with that diverse and refined of a skill set. But again, we said the same thing when it came to Lamont Roach. There is going to be an interesting battle of inside work of whose power can win the day ultimately with this fight. Because Schofield's going to be the aggressor. Schofield's going to be Schofield's going to be the guy that's going to probably try to use his physical framework and gifts to stand in the pocket, copy what Lamont Roach did to some degree, if not be more aggressive with head movement and trying to get under Tank, because they're both similar in size, and be able to catch and hurt him. More willing and reckless to trade with Tank Davis because he saw Lamont Roach do it. He knows he's got better power than him. I know I can do that too. At least he thinks. It's going to be, if we do see him slip up, turn Tank, and get caught with Schofield's level of pop, that's going to be pretty. There may be some concern. It's not a likely situation, but it is something that we need to bring up because now Tank is not the invincible, untouchable fighter from all facets of opponent. Even somebody like a Schofield has the tools and the build to push Tank into a physical box that we saw with Lamont. Because the density of him and his physical frame may have him feel, okay, I can be right in front of you. I don't need to be away. I think I got fast enough hands. I can catch you the same way he did, if not more destructively. Now, should he trust his chin? He better not. I would advise against him doing what we saw Lamont Roach do because he doesn't have the same chin and or defense that Lamont Roach has shown he has. It's going to be a problem if he tries to do that same stuff against the likes of Tank Davis. But most likely he will. That doesn't mean that Tank ain't going to mop the floor with him. I do think he's going to win. It's just going to say there is some level of potential upset ability that we had to take seriously for this fight. Strictly because what Tank showed as a vulnerability against Lamont, some of those same situations if Schofield does land, there could be a cause for concern. Some of the counter windows, some of the trades that we saw Tank lose in the middle of the ring. And it could be that the reckless nature of Schofield most likely gets him knocked out, but it could potentially cause a miracle shot to land. But either way, we're going to find out how Tank can look as he comes back into the ring, and we're going to find out if he will move like the champion that we want to see after the fight with Schofield if he wins, going up against, hopefully, Rami Murataya. hopefully trying to unify the belts or going after straight up the rest of 135. I would love to see that, and I would love to hear your thoughts on that matter. If you think we would see Tank after he beats, if he beats Schofield, afterwards go after some of the best in all of the divisions of 135, more specifically 140. I still think he can fight at 140. I still believe Tank can win at 140. I still believe that Tank versus Shakur would be one of the 3 biggest fights in boxing and will be a fight that Tank could absolutely do and make happen. But it's all on Tank. Be clear. The rest of Tank's career is on Tank Davis. The rest of Tank Davis's career, all of it, everything from Tank Davis and his career hinges on his own willingness to fight. Same boat as you've had with Errol Spence Jr. saying, when I'm gone, I'm gone. I'm not trying to fight for a long time. I want to get my money and dip. That's what he said he wants to do. And he's still probably moving in that same sentiment. Him after Schofield, if he does beat Schofield, would set him up for fights like with Shakur, like with even potentially Devin Haney, or anybody of that sector 140 and 147 that he could fight against, or even at 135 trying to unify. There are big fights that the world would want to witness and see directly after this fight with Schofield if he wins, that are on the table with money that is belligerently ludicrous and within the ballpark of what Tank would want to have, because he's about the money. He said that he's been about that. It will be lined up for him. Just be a matter of if he wants to take that leap. And it's got to be now or never. Because as we've said before previously, this sport is passing him by. I've said this routinely. The boxing without Tank has not lost a step. And Tank will be forgotten to time because his legacy is not nearly set in stone in the slightest. There is nothing about Tank's legacy that has been fervently etched in the world of boxing fans outside of the knockouts. And yeah, the skill was great, but the accomplishments were not living up to that position. It wasn't. And it hasn't. We've seen all these other people around him get the names that have not just validated their ability to be Hall of Famers and Hall of Fame talents, but have the accolades to back up their skills as a boxer. Tank is a champion, but he didn't win that championship in the ring. Remember, he was gifted that title by the WBA. I have nothing against you getting the championship handed to you because of circumstance, because boxers can't control that. It just happens. It's them. But in terms of outside, that's been it. Beating the man, especially when you've had the chance to beat somebody for the titles, you haven't done in a long time since Pedraza. And your best win from a notoriety standpoint is still Ryan Garcia. Your best win from an all-around notoriety standpoint is still Ryan Garcia to this day. That is not good for where your career should be and where we've seen everybody else's career move and elevate to at this point in time. It's a problem. It's an issue. It's a conundrum that you have not fixed because you are not trying to be about that life in boxing. But if you still want to make as much money as possible, now it's going to be, especially since the world of boxing has been to a big degree turned on you. Because of the domestic violence cases, because of the domestic violence allegations, because of the videos that we've now seen of you that validate said allegations, as well as the tiredness of people waiting to see you fight because you're not doing anything. Again, while they're having Shakur have a mega fight, Devin Haney have a mega fight, Benavidez have a mega fight, Terrence Crawford have a mega fight. Everybody else having these huge opportunities of fights or elevating their careers, and you and Gervonta Davis still have not. People are getting sick and tired of it. Justifiably so. And they don't want to deal with that anymore. The boxing world, sure, it's better with you, but it doesn't need you. This isn't like what Sean Zito said when he was going through and saying the boxing world may be better if Boots loses. This isn't like that type of take. This is a take of win, lose, or draw. Your absence in the game has not stifled the success or the elevation of this sport. It hasn't. When the world stopped revolving around Tank Davis, all of a sudden the boxing world saw there's a bunch of other fighters that are doing a bunch of great things. The eyes got opened. Scales fell from their eyes, and now they can see clearly what the world's going on. And oh my gosh, life without Tank is not as bad as I thought. In fact, it's actually better than I expected, because we're getting fights that if Tank was here, we probably would have never gotten. Stars are becoming stars. Names are becoming big names. We're getting not just parity, but we're getting huge opportunities that if Tank was here, it would be better or it would be great. But he's not here, and guess what? It's still great. And so when are you going to catch up to them? When are you going to do what Devin Haney's doing? When are you going to do what your own protege in Floyd Mayweather did? When are you going to run that table when it comes to taking out competition and talent? The answer is never. Well, guess what? Bye-bye, see you later. We are just going to go do whatever. That can all be changed after Floyd Schofield. It really can. But if it doesn't, don't be surprised if fans say, oh, well, back to the drawing board. We've seen this story before. We got other people we can focus on. So Tank, we're good without you. If you're here, we love you. If you're not here, guess what? Oh, well. Because you're here for a good time, not a long time. And when Tank does indeed leave this sport, as you can see right now, you ain't going to be missing much. We got Boots Ennis. We got Shakur Stevenson. We got Devin Haney. We have Abdullah Mason. We have Xander Zayas. We got Fundora. Canelo's still around, and we got a whole new fresh division of names that we can see. Most of the time at heavyweight, all of a sudden looking great. Usyk looks vulnerable. Everybody wants to see what can happen in the heavyweight division. Cruiserweight, Benavidez, looking like the greatest thing since sliced bread. Him, Bivol Belly, that whole triumvirate of danger that can happen against each other. Inoue and Bam Rodriguez. Noye Inoue and Bam Rodriguez. Huge fight. Inoue and Nakatani. Just happened. If that became a rematch, guess what? People still want to see it. We have names, fixtures, and abilities in fighters that people just are able to see. And Tank, you are falling behind. Because you could be a part of all of this. And yet you're still moving like we've seen you move before. And now the public knows it's better stuff out there. Boxing's good with you. But without you, boxing's still good. Be a part of the conversation. Hopefully great. And that's by you participating and taking these bigger fights with people that are at or above your skill level, that have a title that you can unify with, or have been in the same vicinity of name and tangibility for all these years. You can do that or keep on doing what you've been doing, which is either not fighting or fighting people that are not at your level of skill. And then we keep on saying, well, it was a great KO, but it didn't add anything. Moving on. Good time, not long time. We're not going to get the fights that we want from you. You're not going to take the chance to be great like we know you can. You're not going to test yourself against the best of the best. You won't even rematch Lamont Roach in a fight that we know we want to see, that you should have lost. So, why bother? At least to me. Why bother? Why bother? It's a shame. me see. LW, how you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on our live. So we get ready to get out of here. We're almost at the 3-hour mark. And like I said, this is championship rounds. For those of you who don't know, we are in the championship rounds where it's 30 minutes to an hour where you can discuss whatever you want to talk about in the world of boxing and beyond. We are getting ready to end off this show with a bang. We gotta talk about Boots Ennis real quick before we go and leave. But whatever thoughts and responses you want to have, we would love to hear from you. Let me see. Our snack fighters are whack, cornballs, and cheating groupies. Well, we've had a whole bunch of stuff with Victor Conte. We've had those types of debates and discussions and whatnot. I don't think I've seen evidence of them popping dirty for anything unless something came up that I just didn't recognize. This is not me trying to go and fanboy. If you've been on the channel before, you've heard me be very critical of those that are with Victor Conte and others. Keep a close eye on how Snack operates and whatnot, the conflict of interest between Conte and everybody else. But sadly, again, when I say sadly, I mean with respect, Conte passed away. And since then, nobody has popped dirty that has been under Snack at this point in time, even with a new regiment at hand. So no foul play seems to be on the table. So I can't say anything for the time being. And what we have said, we've already said in past episodes. But right now, we're discussing the world of boxing and the beyond scope of this world of combat sports and sports as a whole. If you have anything you want to say. And one more thing we did want to discuss is Boots Ennis, Jerron Boots Ennis, and his fighting career going up against Xander Zayas. We are still expecting this fight to be a banger of an event on June 27th in a very hotly contested affair that everybody's very excited with and wants to see take place. We have had people say consistently Boots should be a top 10 fighter after he fights Xander Zayas. We have had people say consistently Boots would be the best fighter in the world after fighting Xander Zayas. We have had people say that this would be the answer to all of the questions regarding Boots as a talent. And everybody would have to view him as there's nobody better than him. That has been the stigma going into this fight for a larger than I expected fan base looking at Boots Ennis competing in the world of boxing. I don't understand why that is the sentiment that's being talked about. I don't get it. I don't understand. Somebody help me. Somebody help me.
We got some problems here.
Somebody please help me to understand why that is a consistent thing that is being discussed amongst the world of fighters, that Boots should be pound for pound already after Xander Zayas. There's no world that this should be enough. And here's what's worse. If you think that Boots beating Xander Zayas is enough to get him to pound for pound level, that shows there's a lower level of standard that you have for what the pound for pound list should be. I want somebody to explain to me, if you can, why this is the sentiment. Because that's a very low bar. Not because Zayas is not a great fighter. He is. But because that cannot be enough to get to this standpoint of legacy and resume that equates to pound for pound stardom, when we have seen other fighters that have done more not get to pound for pound level status, or what it took for them to get there was copiously more than what we saw Boots have. Yet now Boots, at 28 years old, after 35 fights, fighting in finally the clear-cut toughest fight of his career. Yes, he was unified, but also he got the belts. He didn't one the belts. I don't think he won in the ring. He was given, and then unified the belt going up against Stanionis, which was a good win. Do not get me wrong, that was a good win. But it can't be that Stanionis, Sugar John, and Zayas is enough to get you. This man is one of the best pound for pound fighters in the world, when pound for pound is not just about talent and ability. That's the same thing that, I'm not trying to make this a tank episode, but that's the same thing that kept Gervonta Davis in top 3, top 5 pound for pound level, when there were more people that accomplished more than him in the boxing world, and they were not ranked as high as him. And it was unfair at that point in time. And it still would be unfair now to do that to Boots. When Boots beating Zayas would be a phenomenal win, but it would not equate to top 5, top 3 status. He would not be above Shakur. He would not be above Dave Benavidez. He would not be above Usyk. He would not be above Bam. He would not be above Inoue. He would not be above Bebo. He would not be above Artur Beterbiev. He would not be above Junto Nakatani. He would not be above potentially Canelo. With the legacy that we've seen him have over the course of his entire career. There's no way you can say all of a sudden, yeah, Boots should elevate, skyrocket above him. Devin Haney's done more consistent work throughout his entire career in a recent than what we've seen with Boots at this point in time. It would be unfair to him. With everything I've said about Devin Haney as a detraction, it would be unfair to him to have Boots put above him after this win. Or at least if you put him above him, significantly above him. That would be just unjust and unfair. Unjust and unfair. There is a substantial problem with that type of thinking. Not because Boots should not be a pound-for-pound contender. He is a pound-for-pound contender, especially after this win. But contender is the specific word. Contender. To crack that top 10, he would need, like I said before, 2 definitive wins at this division against good names. Any combination of Zayas and somebody else that has a belt or that is worth their weight in salt in this 154-pound division, now we got ourselves a real conversation. Until then, we can't say that. Until then, nobody should say that. Until then, it should be straight up. No. He does not belong in the pound for pound, but he can be up to the marker of pound for pound. If he wins against Zayas, he's in the conversation. All right, he's almost there, but he's not there. He beats Fundora after Zayas. He beats Ortiz after Zayas. He beats Kelly after Zayas. He beats anybody amongst that top 5. After Zayas, I'm not talking about Jermell Charlo. I'm not talking about Errol Spence Jr. I'm not talking about Keith Thurman. Those types of names. We talking top 6 and above level talent at the world of 154 because the whole division is nothing but killers. But there are tiers to the said killers. He beats them? Yeah. Now we can start talking pound for pound. But as of right now, you can't do it. Because if you didn't know, my pound for pound criteria is not just the talent level that you have. It's not. If you did not know, the reason why I say he's not pound for pound after Zayas is because my criteria for pound, it needs to be the talent at which you fight, the accolades that you gain, the consistency at which you fight, the opponents that you face, and how drastic you're able to beat your opponents on average, regardless of their skill level. The gap between you and everybody else when you fight them. Those 5 pillars are the things that make somebody pound for pound worth. Each one adds a different amount to the pot, but they all equate to that number of where you should be positioned. Boots has the talent. Boots has the ability. Boots does not have the accolades. Boots does not have the names. And Boots, he's fought 35 times. He's got the consistency. But when you put all of them together, and he's got the gap at which he's able to beat people on average. He's got that. But when you put that all of those factors into the equation to make what is a pound for pound level fighter, he does not fit that bill at this point in time. Because there's some elements that he's lacked fully that he needs to get up to. Once he does, though, with the names and the accolades, now we can have a better conversation. Right now, to me, should not be pound for pound. Right now, we should not be pound for pound, in my opinion. But with that being said, this is going to be the last call for the world of boxing. And on this show of The Watchable, we want to hear from you on any regards in the world of boxing and beyond. Sports, movies, television, video games, all that stuff, including NBA Finals. If you want to talk about if you were at the New York Parade, hey, give me a shout out, give me a holler. Tell me if you got some confetti or if you were able to steal the trophy. Who knows what y'all gonna do up in New York City if you up there. But in any regards, whatever you want to discuss, it is the last call for the world of the championship rounds on this segment of the show. But if nobody else has anything they want to say, and if y'all are well and good, satisfied with the show, we're gonna wrap this up, go home, and get on out of here. So ladies and gentlemen, if we all well and good, if we set and ready to go, we're going to go and end this show with a bang and have you all enjoy the rest of your afternoon. So with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of The Watch Report with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch. We thank you so much for tuning in and listening to our show and being a part of our great entertainment and great time as we were here on today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you had a whole bunch of fun. Hopefully you loved the interaction, and hopefully we added more to your day and made it a little bit brighter and a little bit better. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Come join the hottest show on the globe. Be a part of our empire and subscribe and join our community. Also be sure to hit the notification bell so you're able to keep up with everything that we do right here on YouTube. Hit the like on the stream before you leave. One like makes a world of difference for us to go and reach the masses all across the globe and have everybody see what we got going on. Thank you to everybody who donated and participated in the chat and on our live stream. We thank you so much, and to all of you all who made this show also possible, that participated and donated, we thank you so much, and we appreciate the love and support. If you want to support the channel even more so after the show or even before you get on out of here, we got Cash App, PayPal, links down below in the description, Super Chat, Super Gift, stickers, and the like, all of which you can give us support on our show if you can afford to. Any amount we're due helps us to pay the bills and helps me to go through and edify this show and make it better, make it better for you to witness, listen, and enjoy all across the globe. We're available on every podcasting platform. Rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. Apple, Spotify, you name it, we are there. And if we're not, tell us, we'll get there absolutely. You can listen to us on the go, in your job, at home, with your bosses, with your family. Don't matter where you are. We want to hear from you. We want to be able to reach you all wherever you may be. And those are the places to do it. But with that being said, I've been Jean-Luc Welch. You all have been absolutely wonderful. We're going to be back on Friday. Same time, same place, same channel for the championship rounds for the whole of this show, where you all control the entirety of our conversations, and it's free reign to discuss whatever you want to talk about in the world of sports. So bring your debates, bring your conversation, bring your questions, and bring your excitement, because we're going to have popcorn brewing, because you're going to want to be able to eat and feast on what we got, because it's going to be a knockdown, drag out, entertaining brawl with the comments and with the chats in or on Friday's edition of The Welch Report. But hey, I've been Jean-Luc Welch. You all have been wonderful. Peace and love. Oh, we are out of here. Yes, sir. So, excuse me. Yes, sir. Salute to you. Be safe. Be blessed. Enjoy the rest of your day. Get ready for Juneteenth on tomorrow. I know I am. Hey, as you can tell. But we're going to go and get on out of here. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And we are out of here.